Alright, what's up, guys? Today is the first day of our 4-day journey to check out if we could start a fresh file with each starter and see if we could beat the final boss. Not only is this to help out newcomers who are completely fresh to Aethermancer, hey, welcome if that's you, it's also for me to gather data so I can make a better comprehensive beginner guide, since the last time I played Aethermancer on a completely fresh file was all the way back in maybe October or September 2025. Obviously, if you're watching this now, it's been months since then, so I'm not really sure what they've done to make it easier or harder for a beginner. And we're here to just find out, right? So let's get into it. Cherufe being one of the harder starters for any of you who are new to the game. Cherufe is usually not recommended, at least from me, with my experience in the game. Cherufe is kind of like that monster you pick after you have played the game, you have an understanding of the mechanics, and then if you pick Cherufe, you'll have a really good time. But if you're completely fresh, if any of you are completely fresh, I'll try my best to over explain as much as I can to make your journey easy so you could have a first win like I will with this video. Well, I say like I will. I don't know if I will yet, but we'll see how far we get with this run. Alright, we already know we're picking Cherufe. We're not nicknaming him. I have not nicknamed any of my monsters, actually. Maybe that's something I should comment down below. Who wants to be nicknamed after Cherufe or something? Alright, so if you pick Cherufe and you're watching this, you might notice its trait. Its signature trait is Scorched Earth. This got buffed since I last played with Cherufe. Before it didn't have the aura tag. Aura tag means basically anyone in your party can benefit from it. Before this, it didn't have aura, right? So this was only for itself. The fact that it has aura is a massive buff. So whenever you or an ally applies burn to the enemy, you get to break one poise. I'll go over what poise is once we get into battle. Grapple, it's an earth attack. It hits 2 times and does 3 damage. That's how the numbers work. The first numbers is how many times it's going to hit for, and the second number is how much damage each hit will hit for. Purging an Aether is the resource you use to do your actions, kind of like how Grapple is one brown circle. That means it needs 1 earth mana to use it. So when you purge an enemy's Aether, you're getting rid of that. So if they were going to use Grapple, and you purge that earth Aether, well, they can't use Grapple anymore, so they have to resort to using basic attacks. And Ignite is a 3x3 fire attack, and it applies 2 burns to the enemy. Burn has multiple interactions, and we'll go over that while we play the game. Over here on the right, yeah, the game doesn't let me go over to the UI, but under the HP bar, we have our XP. Every battle you finish, you get 1 XP. It doesn't matter if you're fighting 1 monster in the battle, 2, 3, you'll always get 1 XP per fight. That's how this game works. So we can see we're Earth and Fire element. We have the critical tag. That means we're going to have chances to do critical damage. If anyone likes critical damage in games, you know, you're going to love Cherufe. As the Purge, which I already mentioned with Grapple, and as the Burn with Ignite. And by default, we have 25% chance to critically hit. If you don't have that as a perk, then your monster cannot critically hit. Alright, I think I covered the basics of Cherufe. Now let's go into the tutorial and see what they have us doing. I'm not going to be reading the dialogue because I'm already going to be talking a lot. And, yeah, I'm trying to not get horsed here. Alright. Okay, so they're going over your Aether resource right now. So yeah, since the fight starts off with us having no Aether at the top, you can see the enemy has a green one, but we have none. So normally when you have no Aether, you're going to use a basic attack, and as you can see, it generates a Fire and Earth Aether for us to use next turn. This is usually common with most monsters. They'll generate one of each Aether of the element they are. We got pretty lucky. That was a double back-to-back crit. Yellow numbers mean you critically hit in the game. Oh, here's the poise they're bringing up. Cool. That's very important. So yeah, when we break their poise, not only will they be, their turn is interrupted, as they lose this turn, but they also are recovering on the next turn, so you get to like bash them really hard. So we're gonna break their poise, which is Earth. Wow, this is a crazy tutorial. We got 3 crits. And yeah, so now whenever a monster's poise is broken, you could capture them. Since it's your first time playing this, every monster will have. Oh, you can press the square button, by the way, to inspect. It's a crazy UI if you're first time, but the most important thing is if you see this symbol under a monster, that means you have not captured it before. Obviously, like I said, if it's your first time, everyone will have this symbol. But as you do multiple runs, you'll realize, oh, I already caught this one. I don't need it because it doesn't have that symbol anymore, right? So that was a nice feature. It wasn't there when I played. So it's nice that they added that. And now we could just defeat him because the fight's over. He's going to die no matter what we do. So worthiness is a form of experience, if you will, you get for using your monster. So whenever a fight's about to be over, you always want to try to use as many actions, preferably actions that don't deal damage from your other monsters, while still being able to secure the kill. So as you see, these are where the metrics came from: dealing damage, preventing action from the purge we did, and breaking the enemy, doing basic attacks to generating it, and then combat duration, like how many turns it took to win. And like I said, every battle gives you 1 experience. And every time you win a fight, it'll drop loot. I'm not gonna... yeah, blue is common. So when you finish a fight, you'll almost always see blue loot. Is that true? Actually, no, I think it's not true. Okay, how about this? Whenever you finish a fight, you'll see loot. I don't remember if blue is common or uncommon. They do a weird thing, because then there's pink loot, and then there's orange. Orange is the rarest one. That's the one you want to see. I don't remember if pink is common or uncommon, but yeah. Well, they gave us an XP, so now we level up. So when you level up in this game, you're given the options of 3 choices. Obviously, you see down here is a reroll, but since this is your first time playing, you don't have any rerolls, so you're going to want to pick something here that'll help you out. This will increase our critical chance, so we're at 25, and now we'll get 20. It doesn't mean you're at 45. The game has a weird thing where it's timesing it by 100 every multiple chance you have to crit, and then it goes off of that. So this will help us crit more. It's just not a flat 45 crit chance like your typical RPG. This one's actually pretty good because we have grapple. So every time we purge or steal, we're breaking another poise, which means the enemy's in that broken state where we could deal 50% more damage to them. Now this is a pretty cool aura. It grants us 5% crit chance to the enemy for every stack of burn. Since we apply 2 by default, that allows our other allies who don't have critical hit chance to have a chance to crit. Now out of all of these, the most important one in the game, since I don't know what we're really going to get, is Aether. If you don't have Aether to do your actions, you can't really do optimal turns, so I'm going to go with Critical Aether. Let me know down in the comments below, did you guys get the same leveling choices? I wonder if it's seeded and you could follow this tutorial like down to the T, or if it's RNG. I'm curious about that. So these are shrines. Since we only have 1 party member, we could interact with the shrine and have a second teammate join us. Okay. So yeah, you need a soul to summon. The more souls you have, the wider range of a selection you'll have once you capture more monsters along your run. Alright, and let's just go over Wolpensinger, because I'm pretty sure that's fixed. If you pick Cherufe, which is Earth Fire, the game is going to give you Wolpensinger, which is water and wind. This way you have all your weakness covered. There's only 4 elements in Aethermancer, at least when in regards to breaking poise. And then there's neutral, which means you could use any element and it'll break that poise. So Eagle Eye is an interesting one. Whenever the enemy uses actions, you get to copy the last 2. Kind of think of it like a blue mage or something from your typical RPG games. And then when you use the action, let's say you copied my Ignite, right? Let's say you copied my Ignite. So it's going to cost 2 fire to use it, but then you purge 2 fire aethers from the enemy. So it's really cool in that way. You have Bubble Trick, which is a 2x2 water attack, but one of the strongest things in this game is Sidekick. Sidekick is whenever your ally deals... Actually, let's look at that. Whenever another ally attacks, okay, so they have to attack to deal damage to do it. You will assist the ally that attacked by doing a 1x4 hit. This may not seem that strong, but trust me, once you start the momentum in fights, this Bubble Trick is one of the best ways to get Sidekick very cheap. And then you have Wind Kick. This is very strong, a 2x6 attack, so it's doing 12 damage. And if we look over here, we have a 30% chance to crit versus our Cherufe, who only has 25. So that's pretty good. Also, is this an aura? No, it's just for me. Okay. So we also have the critical tag, the purge tag, so you see synergies there. And then we have Sidekick, which I mentioned. It allows you to assist by backing up your allies. Alright. So this is how we get to start a fight with a preemptive, if you will. You could do a Void Blitz, and then you pick the enemy you want to attack to start the fight. So we have Wind element with Wind Kick, and then we have Fire with Ignite. Now out of these 2, I think I'm going to hit the Orthrus, just because it'll break at the start of the fight. And 2, it allows me to capture it, which I think will be a good companion to get this run over with. I don't know if you saw that, but if you look at Cockatrice, notice how it's doing a basic attack, but if you look a little closer to the left of it, it has a knob sticking out at the top, right? That means it's attacking my Cherufe. Now, if it had the knob at the bottom, that means it would be attacking my Wolpensinger. The game does show you like a line of where it's going to attack, but in case, you had a phone call or you just looked away or blinked and missed it, that's how you would know where the enemy intends to attack. Alright, Orthrus. It's another Sidekick unit. I really like it. I think it's going to help us get the win on this run pretty easily. So we're going to set up with Bubble Trick to apply Sidekick on us. And now I'm going to attack with my Cherufe because we don't have Aether to do any action. Notice how our Wolpensinger came in and did a kick. And since it's 1x4, it deals 4 damage, but since the enemy's broken to 50%, as you can see, it brings us up to 6 damage. So I'm just going to kill this Orthrus off and set up Sidekick again. And now we're going to use Ignite, which breaks the poise of the Cockatrice, and I'll have my Wolpensinger assist once more. Also, if you have passives, the game's pretty cool. As you can see under our Aether, we have our critical, what is it called? Critical Aether. 2 out of 3, right? So one more crit that we do will allow me to have it proc. So like I said, if a fight's going to be finished, okay, we got lucky. You want to do damage that doesn't kill the enemy, but gives your other monsters worthiness so you can level them up. Leveling up gives you a permanent buff for any run. So you want to get them to level 5 as quick as you can. Before, when I was playing, it was up to level 3 that you would have beneficial effects, and then the others were just purely casual stuff. But up to level 5 gives you an advantage in combat. Alright, that's just Simple stuff. If you see these diamonds, if you're on the ground, whatever form of input you're playing on, you know, you just press the button and go in. And you could dash across depending on what's your dash button. For me, if you're on a PlayStation controller, that is circle. But yeah, I don't know about mouse and keyboard or Xbox and that stuff because I only play with PlayStation. Alright, Lily. She's an NPC. She's going to probably be one of your favorite NPCs as you play more runs with this game, as she allows you to re-roll a trait or action, but let's see what she does here. Oh. Oh, okay, here we go. So you could talk to her if you want, you'll learn more about the world, but this is just a tutorial of how to do the game, so we're gonna skip that. Okay, so never mind what I was just saying. The tutorial does not actually utilize her normal function that you would be using her for, so yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so as you see up above us is a root. That's Mandagoro. They like to stand in the ground, so you could parry them when they're about to attack you. So you still get a preemptive-esque when combat starts. So as you can see, Tazzleworm showed that he was attacking us. I was going to do this regardless, but Bubble Trick will not only break the poise, but prevent that damage from going out. I could kill it right here by doing this. But I'm going to build up Aether because I want Fire Aether because Mandagora is weak to fire. So once again, we're going to Bubble Trick over here to take out the Tazzleworm. And now we could attack here where I'm going to cancel the action. So the Mandagora is only doing a basic attack, which is a lot less damage we'll take. And that attack that it was doing probably has an effect. So we want to prevent that from going out. It's okay if you take some damage. Because remember, oh, that's the thing I didn't mention. Every fight you start at full HP unless you have corruption damage. I'll go over more on that on the UI once we're out of here. Actually, can we see before? Yeah. So see how my Cherufe under the HP has the 3 in purple? That means we took corruption damage. And now when we start the fight, instead of being at 41 HP, we start at 38. I believe there is a tutorial that'll cover corruption. So we'll see what they have to say, and then I'll go over it more. It says it's not really that important right now. Alright, so what are we picking here? So that's another thing I wanted to do this run. Critical rate. The critical tag got buffed quite a bit since I last played. So out of these options, I usually like to take auras because they affect everyone. Unfortunately, you know, for this one I didn't get the aura, but like I said, if you see something that gives you Aether, there's a very high chance, I would say at least an 8 or a 9 out of 10 you want to take it. Because as you see right now, most of our turns, we're just doing Bubble Trick and I'm like basic attacking, and then the next turn on round 2, that's when I'm able to use Cherufe's actions. Aether's an issue, so if you could get a way to generate Aether, you take those, right? Now this one gives me critical hit chance, but every 3 crits I purge an enemy's Aether. That's pretty good because we're getting an offensive stat and a damage mitigation by purging Aether. And usually the game's smart program that it purges an Aether to enemies using, so it kind of helps you mitigate damage by, instead of taking an action, they'll do a basic attack. This one, every 4 attacks from any of our allies, we purge an enemy's Aether. So this one's really nice. We don't get the crit buff, but anyone can contribute to this. So this one will activate more often than this one will, because this one not only needs 3 crits, but it's only on that my Wolpentinger if we take it, while this one's anyone and it doesn't need to be crits. But out of all of these, I'm going to take the critical hybridization, because a crit from any ally deals an additional wild damage. Remember how I said there's 4 elements in the game? Fire, water, wind, and earth? Well, wild counts as any of them. So no matter what the enemy's poise weakness is, you will chip away at that. That's why Wild is such a good damage type to get. So, and it activates once per action. So that means each of your allies can activate this. So if you all crit, that's 3 poise that you're breaking from the enemy. Very strong. Do not underestimate this. And I said 3 because your normal party size is 3. As you'll see once we enter the next zone, we'll have a new shrine that we could interact with, and we could pick up the Orthrus we captured. In my opinion, out of these rooms, this one is to get you an equipment. We actually haven't even gotten a single equipment, so that's usually cool to go for. This one gives you an artifact, which is another feature you haven't seen yet. But if you are watching this video, it's your very first time playing this game, and you want the highest chance to win your run, I suggest you go for the Aether Spring. This will give you a buff for the whole run. While the equipment can last you the whole run and the artifact can last you the whole run, you have limited use of the artifact, and the equipment is only for that one monster. While the Aether Spring buff, while the Aether Spring buff is for all allies the whole time. There's a big difference. I never pass this up when I see it. Even with all this experience I have of 400 plus hours and stuff, I always go for the Aether Spring. It's just a huge advantage that you do not want to pass up. But like I said, since we're in a new area, I can now pick up Orthrus, and now we have a party of 3. Now when you pick up a monster, they'll get experience depending on the highest level in your party. Since we have a Cherufe that is level 2 and it's 2 out of 3, we got 2 points, so we can level up to level 2 right away and catch up with our Wolpensinger. Alright, so at the end of your turn deals... Oh yeah, I guess we should go over its thing and why I picked it. So as you can see right here, we have a 3-hit 2-water attack, but no other effects. It's just doing good poise damage to the water elements. But if we take a look at Bubble Trick, it's kind of doing the same thing when you think about it. It's a 2x2 water, but it gives you sidekick. But when we're assisting with the sidekick, it counts as our element, water and wind. So you could treat this as, you know, a 3x2. But you get to direct where that third hit goes, whereas Orthrus's third hit always goes on the target you attack. Now, Orthrus does have a fire attack, and it does do sidekick afterwards, which is really good. Now, the reason Orthrus cares about sidekick more than Wolpensinger is because of its signature trait. On attack, if this is the monster's first attack this turn, it heals our ally with the lowest amount of HP for 5. And if it's the second attack, wink wink nudge nudge, the sidekick you applied, you will get power. Power is a buff for the whole fight, not run. I was going to say run, no. It's a buff for the whole fight that increases your damage by 1. So that means this Aqua Pounce, instead of being a 3-2, it'll now be a 3-3. So you just increased your damage by 3. It's like a 50% right there, and obviously as you keep scaling, getting more activations of 2-headed, you're just going to do truckloads damage. That's why I think Orthrus is a great starter, and as you can see, we have sidekick damage +1. So that means now, instead of our sidekicks doing a 1x4, they're dealing a 1x5. So, that's pretty cool. But yeah, this one, at the end of a turn, deals a water hit to all enemies, and deals damage for every 4 healing. So as long as we're at least attacking once, which we should be, even with basic attack, we're getting a 5 heal. So that means we're getting an AoE water hit on all enemies. It's alright. Orthrus doesn't really heal too much, so I don't really value this much. This one needs us to do 100, and since the only form of healing we have right now is him, that means we have to do 20 rounds to get this active. That's not likely to happen either. So the last good option, if you want to put goods in parentheses, is the Magnus hit. It deals an extra hit to the amount of power in the whole party. Unfortunately, we're the only ones that can apply power right now, so this is not going to activate until we get power going. But like I said, out of these options, this is probably the better one, as it'll scale better throughout the run. We might be able to pick up a healing action to make these two better, but I'm going to take the Magnus hit. Those weren't really the best of options we could have had. There was some other stuff I was looking for, but, you know, we take what we get and we roll with it. Alright, so it's usually in your best interest to go around and do all the fights the area has. But if you took the Aether Spring Room, it's really important that you interact with it right away. That way, this bonus now affects these 3 fights in this zone. So every time we finish combat, we can get 2 extra gold. And like it says there, lasts until the end of the run. Same thing here, lasts until the end of the run. Equipment from random loot drops has a 35% chance to have a higher tier. I think I'm going to take this one just because gold's not bad. It's just, I value just getting equipment right away. Because we have no equipment on our characters right now, right? So any equipment we get is going to be good. Especially if we could get it in a higher rarity. So remember, whenever you see these diamonds, you could go up and have, explore at the top here. Another thing the tutorial just told you is if you do a Void Blitz and you have the height advantage on the enemy, you break another poise. That is very good. Alright, so out of these enemies, Cockatrice is kind of a joke because we have Cherufe and Orthrus with fire element, so we could break its poise when we want. Also, Cockatrice got nerfed. So, thank you for your patience. Cockatrice got nerfed. It used to be really scary in the demo and early access. But at this part of the game, Cockatrice is kind of a joke. I don't really treat it as a threat anymore. So I'd rather take out these Wolpentingers. They're just like our Wolpentinger. They can be very annoying by doing a bunch of small chip damage with the sidekick trait. And I believe they carry critical hybridization. I'm not sure if that's true on the fresh file run. It might just be on heroic and higher difficulties that they do that, but in my opinion, they're the bigger threats, so I'm trying to take them out. Ooh. Oh, they're going about artifacts here. Interesting. So yeah, as by default, you know, you could capture depending on your craft memento, but you could also heal your allies so you could get the run going. This is actually kind of crazy that the enemy is attacking with 2. We have Bubble Trick going off and Wind Kick. I'm gonna go try and stop, or at least set up some damage right here. Actually, that was really good. We got a crit on that. So, I'm going to now grapple to not only break the poise, but get that follow-up right there, and we actually were able to cancel both actions. I'm not sure how that was done. But, either way, we prevent actions from going out, and I'm just going to kill this Wolpentinger, get some Aether going, and then next turn's going to be really strong. Alright, so remember, your Orthrus wants to attack 2 times if you can. The only way you could do that when you first acquired him is with Fire Fang. So, we're going to start off by hitting this Cockatrice back here with a Fire Fang. That's the first hit, so we heal. Now the second time it goes, we are going to... Actually, let me just check this. No, I want to do Bubble Trick. So I'm going to do Bubble Trick over here. And since, remember, the sidekick backs up... Actually... Why did that do that? Shouldn't that have just broken 1 poise? Oh, okay. So that's what happened. So the sidekick's a 1/5, right? But our Magnus hit came in and it backs up the element we are. So since we're fire element, even though that 1 point of damage, it's just 1 point of damage, it counts as a poise break as well since it's our element. So that's why the Magnus hit is very important. And even I forgot that interaction, so... There we go. I remembered something, and you learned something. Hopefully, for first-timers. But yeah. That's why you should never neglect something for just having 1 damage. Because sometimes it could just be there for poise breaking, you know? So, like the little tutorial there popped up here, we'll just open this up again so I could show this real quick. So when you press the square button, you could open up this UI and it tells you basically anything and everything you need to about combat. I'm just here to show you, you could go over to the enemy and you could see what their reset actions do. So when you break the poise of an enemy, the following turn, they'll reset. And this is what they'll do first, followed by an additional action. So it looks like it's going to do a heat into a reflect. But before that, it's going to generate a random Aether for its allies if they weren't dead already, and burn all of us. So that's why if you break an enemy, it's important to try to kill them in that same turn, unless you know their reset action isn't that scary, and you could, you know, get away with not bothering with it. Alright, I keep having, like, hiccups. I don't know what's going on. That's why there's, like, a pause in what I'm saying and stuff. So this is another thing that's important. Every even level, you get a trait, and every odd level, you get an action. You can only have 4, in case you were wondering. So right here, we could pick up a heal. That also heals all allies for 8, because it's 2x4, and applies 2 burn to each of the enemy. Now remember, this might seem okay or mid to you. Remember, whenever we burn the enemy, they lose a poise. The amount of burn doesn't matter. It's just if you applied 1 burn or 10 burn, it's still all 1 poise. So you're healing all your allies for 8 and reducing the poise of the enemies by 1 each. That's pretty cool. Right here is Lightning Assault. This is a new action that's in the game. It's a 4x4 attack, and it's fire and wind element. So if they're weak to one of those, you're going to break 4 poise, and you have a 10% chance to crit on top of that. And as you see, if you critically hit... Oh, I think I didn't mention that. You could press the triangle button, at least if you're on PlayStation, and open up the tooltip so you have more information on what some of these keywords mean. As you can see, bleeding, they take wild damage. Remember, wild is very good. And regardless what the wild is, it'll break that poise. So, this is very strong. Might be one I take. Let's see what they say for critical hand. Chance to land, which deals 50% more damage, rounded up, and 1 poise. Oh, okay, so crits also break an extra poise. Then we have Lightning Chaos. The text is in yellow because it's Maverick. As you can see right here, Bonfire, the tag on the bottom right says burn, right? This says critical. Mavericks are 2 tags combined. So this one's critical and purge. That's why it has a yellow text, in case you were wondering. Now this one used to be a very good action. I'm not sure if this got nerfed since the last time I played, but the damage just looks a little low. So I'm not sure what happened there. But AoE is very good, as this does 10 damage, hits all enemies for the fire and wind, and has a 20% crit chance. And if you critically hit, you're purging the enemy, which means they might do less damage to you. Let's see, how are we going to evaluate this? Let's take that off. So for every 3 crits, I generate Aether for my allies. If I crit, I get an extra hit. And this one's for him. I think I'm going to take the Lightning Bleed, because bleed is wild damage, which helps us break. And if I crit, that means I'm breaking more poise, and it means that I'm getting closer to just getting 50% damage. AoE damage is nice and all, but Aether generation's a problem right now, and I don't see us getting 5 Aether to spare to do this. So yeah, Lightning Assault. Well, there we go. We found a rear drum. Nice. So the drum by default, if we do support actions, it cleanses 2 debuffs and applies a temporary power to the ally that we use that support action on. Unfortunately, right now, none of us have a support action. You could tell if your action support or not by looking under. See how Lightning Assault, Ignite, and Grapple all have attack under it? They're not supports, right? Same thing here, Bubble Trick and Wind Kick. Yeah, so we have no supports right now, so that's not being activated. But what we do have is on action, we have a chance to generate an Aether as a rare in parentheses, because that's a rare affix to get, and it gives us sidekick damage +1 to all allies. So if my Cherufe has this equipped, even though it has no sidekick, it could still buff our Wulpentinger and our Orthrus. I think I'm going to give this to my Orthrus, because out of these two that have sidekick, the one I would want to have sidekick the most is my Orthrus, because it's going to gate the power. And two, since it's doing two actions, right? It says on action. Action means basically, oh, yeah, here we go. They have a lot of keywords here, but yeah, on action is just triggers an action, including attacks. Sidekick counts as that. So when we do Fire Fang to apply to sidekick, that's an action. And then when an ally attacks and triggers its sidekick, that's an action. So we have two chances of getting it. Wulpentinger and Orthrus can both benefit from that. But like I said, if I had to choose one to do it, it would be Orthrus, because its signature trait wants to attack twice per turn. Alrighty. So you might come across this frog pond. If this is your fresh account, actually, well, that's a hard one to break down. Let's see. So we could get gold, but we lose Aether Crystals. Aether Crystals are this game's meta progression. Now, if you've never played a roguelike, meta progression is basically permanent buffs that you could have every run. And since this is your first time playing, if you're watching this, you're going to have very low Aether Crystals. So Aether Crystals are more valuable to you as a new player. But this is the catch, right? You could get more Aether Crystals if you go further in the run before you lose or you win. So, in my opinion, I think you should get gold, because this allows you to go further in the run. Oh, sorry. You should, what are we doing here? Yeah, we're going to give up some of our Aether Crystals now to get gold, and that gold will help us carry us to the victory line. Apparently we can't even utilize this because I don't even have enough Aether Crystals. That's hilarious. So maybe we'll come back later to this before the run is over. But yeah, that's how I view it. If it's your first time and maybe you're not a quick learner, you know yourself and you need a few repetition runs to get going, then you might want to take the Aether Sands. But if you find yourself a quick learner, maybe you watch this full guide before you do your run, you will have a higher chance of winning, because like I said, I'm trying my best to over-explain here. If it is truly your first time watching this, and you have any questions as you're watching this, by all means, please comment down below, ask away. I'll love to help out and answer them as I can to help you have a higher chance of winning runs in Aethermancer. So we have two Orthrus here, which we only have a Wind Kick to deal with them. And then we have this Wulpentinger. I'm actually going to take out the Orthrus because they have an action that could heal their allies, and we want to try to prevent that. Oh, also, I noticed I just said an action that heals. I'm not talking about their signature trait. I'm talking about they like have an action they could do, like us right here. They could do one of these, and it heals them. We don't want that. Alright, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get my Fire Fang. So we'll do a bubble trick there since it's about to be broken. Wait. Huh? Did I not bubble trick? Oh my god. That is crazy. I did not bubble trick. I must have misclicked. Alright, well, I'm gonna go for the grapple here to cancel the Aqua Pounce. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go here just to break some poise on this Wulpentinger. We got really lucky, and I got a double crit. Remember, crits adds an extra 2 to poise break, so normally we were supposed to break 2 there, but since both of them crit, We actually only needed 1 to crit. We broke 4 poise instead. And I'm just going to get some damage on this so we can kill it next turn. Alright, so there's the Fire Fang. And the allies, or the enemies, they could do the exact same that we can. So as you saw, that Orthrus not only did the Sidekick Fire Fang thing that I was supposed to do, but then it got the power buff. So that's pretty scary. So I'm going to Sidekick on this broken Wolpentinger. And then I'm going to Fire Fang this Orthrus, which my Wolpentinger will assist me with the Sidekick, and since Sidekick from Wolpentinger is water and wind, it'll break the poise here, so we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to go and cancel the action right here on the Wolpentinger by just killing it. Actually, do we need to do that? I could just kill it, save Aether, and build up for next turn. And you can see the Orthrus is taking damage. That's because the game is smart targeting. With the Sidekick we have from our Orthrus, and it's killing that. We took a little more damage than I was supposed to because I misclicked and I didn't bubble trick when I thought I did. So, that was a fail. Alright, we're going to Fire Fang here. If you have the chance to Fire Fang, always Fire Fang. You want to do that first. We have the Killing Blow right here. I'm going to go with the basic attack from my Cherufe to try to get some more worthiness. Unfortunately, we got lucky and crit, so it died instead of living with 1 HP. So my Wolpentinger can get some worthiness. Okay, so pink is common. So blue was uncommon. Okay. Or rare. Alright, so like I said, you want to go through your zones and kill as many enemies as you can. And always try and get height advantage if you can. Oh, we got lucky. It walked over into the zone and we could get this. So that's the cool thing about the game. Even though these other two are out of range and we could only technically see the Tazzleworm for the jump advantage, you could hit anyone you want. So if you see Ooze, this is the green one, and it's paired with a Tazzleworm, you want to take out the Ooze as quick as you can because the Ooze does poison, and the Tazzleworm benefits from the enemy, us, being poisoned. So that's why these two are a nasty combo if you see them together. Actually, there was a tutorial in the demo that mentioned that. I wonder if they kept it here. Yes, they did. See? Okay. Alright, so we could Fire Fang. So I'm definitely going to Fire Fang. We're trying to kill this Ooze as quick as we can. And now we're going to... Actually, I'm going to do the bubble trick here. Because we could break the Tazzleworm. And now I'm going to grapple and break the Ooze. That way only the Orthrus is getting its action out. But that's a lot of damage mitigation right there. So yeah, we reduced a lot of damage incoming. Unfortunately, oh yeah, I guess I didn't mention that, right? At the start of every turn, your allies randomly generate 1 of 2 Aether that we could use. We could have generated 2 fire because we have 2 fire monsters on our team, but unfortunately we only generated 1, so I can't do Fire Fang. So since we can't really do what I want, I'm going to go and kill this Tazzleworm because it has more HP. Now... I think he'll die. Yeah. I'm going to set up a bubble trick here. Yeah. Like, the odds of us not critting there are pretty low. And now we could use the Lightning Assault that we picked up. There's a high chance we crit out of 4 hits. What's the chance that we don't get 1 crit, right? There we go. So that's how you take advantage of the enemies and their poise. Because, like I said, Cherufe is a monster that's usually good after you've done a run or two and you understand the basic mechanics of the game, then it shines. I obviously have that. You don't as a first timer. So you will not see these opportunities as well as I do, but hopefully I'm doing the best I can explaining that to you. So we have Aerial Strike here, which is a 3x3 wind that applies sidekick to self. So if you desperately need the wind element, you could take that one. I personally don't think it's that good, so I'm going to pass on that. We have Jewel Cutter, which is a 4x2, so that's 4 poisons breaking, and it's giving us the earth element, which is interesting because as you can see, our Wolpentinger is actually water and wind. That's because Jewel Cutter is the critical tag, and you only have to have one of the elements to get the other one. So since we have wind, we could sometimes learn an element that we normally can't use. So we have Jewel Cutter here, giving us access to earth damage and 4 hits. It's very good. Gives us a chance to crit with a 30% crit chance. And remember, if we crit just once, we get this critical hybridization. Spoiler alerts. There's a boss later in the run that requires you to have Poise Break, because it's going to set up multiple targets that need to be dealt with quickly, or they could be the deciding factor of why you lose the run. Hence, Jewel Cutter being a very good action to pick if you see it, at least if you're running with, you know, Cherufe, Wolpentinger, and Orthrus. And you have Snow Support. Now, this is a good action. It heals all our allies for 12, cleanses 2 debuffs on them, and applies 2 sidekick to self. You know who would want this? Our Orthrus, not us. So maybe if our Orthrus learns this, I'll give it to him. But for now, Jewel Cutter is just a really strong hit. Breaks 4 poise. That's all you need to know is good. Now, that the fact that it says critical hits deal 4 more damage, that's just the cherry on top. I usually just pick Jewel Cutter because it breaks 4 poise. So what they mean by that, critical hits deal 4 more. So Jewel Cutter, right, since it's only doing 2 damage, when you critically hit in this game, it does 50% more damage, right? So the 2 would just go to a 3. But since you have Jewel Cutter, critical hits deal 4 damage, you're putting the 4 on there, so it's 6, and then 50% of that would make it 9. It's nuts. But like I said, I'm mostly picking it just for the poise. Oh, we unfortunately did not get the snow support, which would have been great here. So this is another good action. It heals all your allies for 10 and generates 1 of each Aether. That's very good. Unfortunately, it does not give us sidekick, so we could activate Orthrus' passive or signature trait. So I'm not going to take it. I would have took Snow Support because it would give us sidekick, which would allow me to get that off, but this doesn't. This one does a fire and earth attack to all enemies. That's pretty good. And if it interrupts, then we get power. But it's not giving me sidekick. Remember, the main thing here is we're wanting sidekick. Icy Assault, it's a 5x3. That is great for poise breaking. And the thing with power in this game, power gives you 1 damage, right? Does it tell you what power does? Okay, right here. It increases your damage by 1. So I'm trying to think, do we have anything that hits like once? I don't think so, right? But oh, I guess you could look at this. So the power by 1 on critical hybridization would go from 3 damage to 4 damage. That's okay, right? But when you look at multi-hitting attacks, like this 3x2, it'll now do 9 damage instead of 6. So since Orthrus is the only one in the party right now that's able to gain power, if you are able to scale this up, like let's say we get 3 power, 4 power, this is going to do 20 damage from the 15, right? Wait, did I say 3 or 4? My bad. If you get 3, that's going to be 30, and if you get 4, that's going to be 35 from our base 15. That's why this one, out of all these options, I would take. Not because they don't give me sidekick. The whole thing with Orthrus, at least how I like to play him, is you want him to almost always have sidekick. Since I don't have a reroll and none of these give sidekick, out of all of these that would scale the highest, it would be Icy Assault once we get some power going. Now you might say, oh, why not pick the AoE one? You would hit all the enemies for 10 damage instead of 8. That is true, but by the time I have the Aether to use 4, most likely I already killed one of them, so it's only hitting 2 enemies instead of 3. And Icy Assault, like I said, it's just really good for poise, great with power scaling. It might actually be the finisher of the run. We'll see. Ooh, rare armor. So the base of armor is every turn you shield yourself by 3, and we have critical damage of each hit is increased by 2. You know what goes really well with that? The fact that we have Jewel Cutter. So these two effects can stack. The critical damage plus 2 is a perk. That's not like exclusive to armor. Like you could see that perk on anything. Like how this drum has Aether 50 rare and stuff like that. Anything after the initial text that's bullet points, those are just perks you're getting. I could have that Aether chance on this, but I don't. But since we have crit damage 2 and we have our Wolpensinger with Jewel Cutter with 2 crit damage there, we could go crazy if we get lucky. So I think I'm going to put it on our Wolpensinger. And Wolpensinger is usually squishier than our other members, so we want him to stay alive with those 3 shields a turn. Did I accumulate enough resources? No, I did not. So, since I technically can get the gold here, right? Yeah. Can I get this? Okay, so we could give up 5 of our gold to get 15 Aether crystals. I think I said they were Aether sands, but yeah. So that way, when we're finished with the run, whether we lose or win, we'll have some more Aether crystals to upgrade. Since I plan on doing this, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to lose gold. I'm just trying to show you how to win, and if you want to win your run, I would not give up your gold. Gold is very good, and it'll increase your chances of winning the run. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Did I mention that? If you open the map, any of these hot points, or these symbols, there you go, that's a better word. Any of these symbols you see on the map, you could just click on them or use your controller and move to them, and you could fast travel. Alright, so the scale over here is the merchants. This is where you could use your gold to buy stuff. Over here is Envoy. This is to give us an artifact. Right now, the only artifact we have is to heal. And here is the question mark. You could get any NPC. Since we're trying to win the run, I'm going to go for Envoy to take an artifact. Because we're trying to just have a consistent way of winning. And knowing what we're getting is better than going to an RNG room. You could read the dialogue on your run if you want. So let's see. We get to pick an artifact. So you could take Aethermancer Whip. This actually does do damage and steals an Aether from the enemy and gives it to you. That's pretty good. And our second option is applies power to our ally. Notice how the only way we were able to get power before was our Orthrus activating its signature trait twice a turn to get this. So both of these are good. Now out of these 2 options, if I would have to pick one, it's pretty tough actually when we think about it. Power is really good. All our allies have multi-hitting attacks of at least 4, so power on them would be good. This actually would be really good on our Wolpensinger, considering we have the armor with crit damage 2, we have Jewel Cutter, which is 4x8, but if any of those crit, we're just going to get big power. And then Heroic Horn, increasing the base on that. That sounds good, right? But we have 3 aggressive monsters that have no real form of mitigation. I have no way to reduce damage coming at us besides just killing the enemy. So I think I'm going to take the Aethermancer Whip, just because it steals an Aether from the enemy, which can prevent them from using an action, and they have to use a basic attack, which is a lot more preferred. And the Aether I steal, I might be able to use that Aether to my advantage. So I'm going to go with that. I did not expect me to have this much talking in the run. My voice is already getting a little hoarse. I'll be better prepared for the other runs. Alright, so in my opinion, if you're ever versus a Mandragora, you want to stop them because Mandragora can heal. It can apply weakness. Weakness reduces the amount of damage you do by 3. That's the fixed number. And no one wants to do less damage, right? So I'm going to do Bubble Trick here on the Wormling. Try to pop it. Unfortunately, did not get any crits. So that sucks. And I think I'm just going to basic attack here. Break the Wormling so it doesn't do any hits on me. Nice. We got a decent amount of crits there to ensure he dies. Oh, here they go. They bring up Corruption. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, so they still didn't introduce the thresholds of how much damage you take equals how much corruption you get. I actually don't remember that. I don't really even keep track of it anymore because it's not that important. But I believe if you take 2 or less damage, you don't get corrupted. But if you take 3 points of damage, you get at least 1 corruption. It's something like that. But yeah, I don't even pay attention to that anymore. How many runs I have under my belt, I just do the run and we get the win. But yeah, shields, kind of like our Wolpentinger. If you look at our HP, we have that +3. That means we have +3 shield. So if the enemy hits us for 3 damage, none of that will go to our HP. Now if they hit us for 4, we'll lose 1 HP, right? So that's what shielding is. So the Mandy's doing an action. So I'm going to try to cut that Mandy off if we can. I'm going to Bubble Trick there. 1, to kill the Mandy, but 2, to help assist my Cherufe in doing a bunch of damage. We have Lightning Assist, which will help us break here. Okay, we didn't crit once, but since our Wolpentinger is part wind, the sidekick came in and killed it. Trying to get as many attacks out as I can with multiple allies so I could get more worthiness. Unfortunately, we got lucky and got the crit, so much for that. Ooh, we got boots. So boots by default give you 15% chance to dodge, and we got the rare trait on it, where at the end of combat, if we are corrupted, we actually cleanse too. Since our Cherufe is 10 corruption, that means if I take no corruption the next fight, when we come out, we should be at 8. This, I believe, is a corruption cleanse pool. You have to give it gold and reduces the amount of corruptions that it's on your monster. Let's see if I'm right. It's called the Blessed Pond. They changed it. So yeah, you could give 5 gold and cleanse 3 corruption from all your monsters. See, this is why you want to keep your gold, so you could do things like these. We'll go kill... My suggestion, whenever you see events like that, you usually want to finish the fight in the area. Unless you're obviously you need to cleanse that corruption, otherwise you might lose. Do that first. But yeah, since we're not in a dire situation that I need to cleanse, I'd rather go around and do all the fights and see if I need more corruption cleanse than I do at the moment, right? Alright. Okay, that was scary. So if the enemy's bar fills, they'll just attack you. So you lose your preemptive. You never want that. You always want to have a preemptive. So out of these 3, I think Wormling is the scariest. If you leave Wormling unchecked, I think by turn 3 is where he'll use Firebolt, and that thing hits really, really hard. You don't want to see Wormling do its action, so we do not have enough Aether to do Fire Fang, so I'm going to do Bubble Trick there first. I'm going to now interrupt this action with Grapple, break the poise, and since Orthrus has nothing really to do, I'm just going to do some basic attack here on the broken Wormling to do the most amount of damage and generate some mana for the team. Alright, let's see. So everyone's doing an action. I know by default Wormling, it's not doing damage. What it's doing right there is it's going to purge some of my Aether and generate Aether for itself. As you can see, Wolfentinger is copying our grapple that we just did to it. And Cockatrice is doing Reflect. So I'm going to try to stop that. Fortunately, I did not get lucky there and get a crit, so that's not good. Hmm. I think I'm going to go with the Jewel Cutter here because I have enough mana to do Ignite, which breaks the Cockatrice and prevents the damage from going out. Oh my god, did you see that crit? That did 14 damage. Why did it do 14? So, 4 by 2, right? If we crit, that goes up by 50. So if I crit, that's 4 damage, and then the armor's a 2, so that's 6. So 6 on this would be 8, and then half of 8 is 4, so that would be 12. But we did 2 more than that, so... Huh. That's interesting. I'm not sure why we did 14 and not 12. Or is am I just derping? 2, 4 is 6. 6 on the 2 is 8. Half of 8 is 4, 12. Yeah, I'm not sure how we got to 14, but I guess we take that. And like I said, the Lightning Assault right here is going to break the poise. Nice, we got 1 crit. And like I said, it wasn't doing damage, it was just purging our Aether, which is completely fine. It's at 4 HP, it's not a threat. No matter what it decides to do, it's just dead. So, yeah, we're just going to go kill it right there. We're going to do a Icy Assault to do the most amount of damage now to get the most worthiness. And as you saw right there, we cleansed 2 Corruption. I don't believe Cherufe took a single point of damage this fight. So remember how we said we had 10 Corruption? We should be at 8 when we come out of combat. Let's see, on Interrupting, we'll deal an extra just hit of Fire and Wind. Remember, Cherufe's Fire and Earth, so the fact that we're getting the Wind element on him, that's really good. Whenever we crit, we'll make the enemy bleed. Like I said, bleed's awesome. But I don't think we have a high chance to bleed, so I may not take this. Whenever burn triggers on an enemy, apply burns to the enemy with the lowest. This is one of the good traits that I remember running on Cherufe, and it allows you to just break poise with this thing. But out of these options, I think I'm going to go with the Shock. The extra damage is always nice when we interrupt. You'll want Cherufe to try to get the interruption just because you want Shock to trigger. Because free damage is good damage. And the game doesn't tell you it, but Shock has a chance to critically hit since it's on our tag. Alright, so since the run is now done... Oh yeah, just to show you... Oh, I guess Cherufe did take damage? Because he still has 10. Oh. I would have to go back and look at the run. I don't remember him taking a hit, but... Yeah. Oh, I think the Orthrus got did basic attacks on him, right? Yeah. Alright, so this altar is one of the best things you could find in the game, as it gives you a buff for 2 fights. So, I know after this floor, the next floor we go is going to be the boss fight, right? So we could get increased healing, which is only affecting our Orthrus. We could start off with the enemy has less Aether. That's nice, but I'd rather have the enemy have Aether because I want to interrupt them with my Cherufe so I get extra damage. You can't interrupt basic attacks, but you can interrupt actions. So all these options, the only really good one is Burn. And as you can see, whenever an enemy is doing an action, they take burn damage. Or if I interrupt them with Cherufe, which I want to because of Shock, my grapple will not only deal the 3 burn damage, but I'll also trigger the shock damage. You see? That's why burning is really nice, and it pairs really well with Cherufe. And we do have the corruption cleanse. Um, if I was a first timer like you and you're not watching the full video, maybe you're watching this after your first run, I would suggest you take that. I'm confident that I don't need it, so that's why I'm skipping from it. Alright, so over here we have this like Saturn looking symbol. This is loot. It's guaranteed to be rare loot. So that's pretty good. Like we said, the balance is the merchant if you want to go spend your gold. That's something I didn't mention before, but I probably should mention now. I never recommend you go to the merchant. Never ever. Why? Because whenever you finish a boss room, the next room is a rest room, and you always have the merchant there. So there's no reason for you to go to a merchant now when you're just going to get one for free. You're just lowering your odds of getting power because you're going to be spending your gold when you could just already going to spend your gold. Because the restroom merchant's going to be useless if you use up all your gold right now, right? So that's my logic in it. I've never went to the merchant. Ever since the demo, I don't go to the merchant at all anymore. I just take the free ones. So out of these options, the witch, which is now where you'll get to see her actual function from the first one where she gave us a blank memento. She allows you to either re-roll one of your traits or actions, or you could just take a free XP. So let's just review our build. So this one, it increases our chance to crit. Every 3 crits, we generate a wild Aether, which is very good. We want Aether, that's how we do good actions. And then if I interrupt, we're trying to interrupt with grapple. If I have burn on the enemy, it only synergizes more by interrupting. So this is a good package. And the action's good. Critical hybridization, it affects everyone on the team. I'm not replacing that, so that's really good. Jewel Cutter, this is a very strong action, and I know, without a doubt, we will need this for the final boss if I make it there. So it's always better to go in prepared that you have something ready for the final boss than hoping and praying you get something. And then Magnesit, this one's I guess one of the weaker ones we could have gotten. Aether's still an issue. If I would re-roll and I go to the witch, I would probably re-roll Magnesit to something like Sidekick Generator or Momentum. That's what I would do. Magnesit is more like a level 4 or 6 trait you want to get once you know you could solidify Fire Fang every turn. But since we are about to fight the boss, there's a good chance that Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you an advanced tip right away. You could go to the witch. Don't have to use the witch. Alright? That's what we're actually going to do. Oh, it tells you your corruption. What else does it have to say? Okay. So, nothing. So, yeah, usually you would want to talk to the NPC, but this is an advanced tip that most beginners would not do. They'll probably just talk to the witch and use her up, and that's it. Since I know this is a boss fights give you more XP, or the XP that you will get in the next biome you go. Right now, every time we finish a fight, we only get 1 XP, right? But when you do a boss room, you get more XP. So we're going to get 2 XP, meaning my Orthrus will get to level 4, where I have another chance of rolling for a trait, and if I don't get the trait I want, well, now we could use the witch that we have in the room that we have not activated yet to try to re-roll that trait to the one I do want. So that's an advanced tip you guys got in a beginner guide, so yeah. So yeah, in boss rooms, these are called champions. They're going to have a lot more poise, and they get 2 actions instead of 1. I'm trying to see if he's going to come over here so we could get the height advantage jump on it. I don't know if we will, though. Me going down there does not interact with the aggro system. It just has a walking pattern it does on its own. Oh, hey, we got close. Come here. Oh, did I mess up? Oh, I think I might have messed up. We could have had it when it slipped close. We'll give this like a 30 seconds, see if it comes over here or not. Come on. So yeah, Unfortunate that we have this height thing, but he's not moving over here, so doesn't look like we'll be able to take advantage of this. Oh, yes! Patience paid off, my friends. Alright, so let's see if there's a tutorial for this before I start talking. Okay, there is. Okay, it's cool. So it does go over to neutral poise. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the good things I guess you should bring up. Since this boss is weak to anything, since it's neutral, this is why having a high hit counts matters, because it means you could break the poise a lot quicker, right? So remember, like I said, if you could Fire Fang, you always Fire Fang. Unless you picked up a healing action and you need to do that healing action. And we're going to Bubble Trick. Fortunately, I do not have a Earth Aether to cancel that action that he's about to do. But since we have an artifact of the Aether Whip, I actually can use this to do 2 poise damage. The Aether we steal will not matter. Notice how we took a wind away from him and gave it to me? That doesn't really matter too much because I was doing the whip to do the poise damage. And since our basic attack hits twice, we will now break the enemy. And notice how it'll take 3 damage from the burn because it's going to get interrupted and lose the top action it's doing. Oh, 5 burn damage because of broken. So yeah, that's why Aether Whip was the better choice in my opinion, because it allows you to do things like that you normally wouldn't have done. And it got us away from taking some damage. But now that it's broken, unfortunately, we can't interrupt it by breaking its poise. We could only try purging it to stop its action from going out. And weakness reduces our damage, so good thing Fire Fang's a 2-hit, so that gets rid of the weakness on us, so we can now do some good damage. We're getting hit on the top and bottom. As you can tell by the aggro, our Cherufe and Orthrus are going to get hits. So since we're broken here, I could actually use the free action Fire Ritual to purge 2 Aether so that bottom hits a basic attack. And we could trigger some burn on it. Generates Fire Aether for my allies, which they desperately need, as I do want to do Fire Fangs and Ignites. Unfortunately, we can't get that break. So out of all of these, I would like to apply actually some more burn. Because remember, every time it does an action, it gets hit with the burn stacks. Nice. We got criticalization. Orthrus is attacking with Magnus. That's really good. Right there, yeah, that could be scary, right? That pollen. That's a lot of damage. But there was just nothing really we could do to prevent that from going. So that top action is a defensive one it's doing, seeing as it's not targeting anyone, and the bottom one is an attack. If that goes through, our Orthrus might die. So let's see what we could do here. We're definitely... Ooh, do I definitely do the whip? Unfortunately, I don't think I could stop that, the bottom action from going out. If I have 2 Earth, I could stop it, though. My basic attack would generate 1. Yeah, I don't know how we're stopping this. Let's see, it has 15 poise. This is 5. 9. 13. But that assumes I have the Aether to do this. I don't think I do. I would only have 1 wind left over, so I can't do this, and I can't do that. Yeah. Trying to think how to get out of here. Because this isn't a scripted video. We're doing this all on the fly, baby. Alright, so we're going to do Fire Fang. See if I get a crit. Okay, nothing. That's not good. I'm gonna do bubble trick. Alright, we're just gonna use the monster flask. Hopefully that heals us enough that we don't die here. So this is the gamble, right? If I use grapple, I make him not use his first action, but that's the thing that's risky. One, we're getting rid of the action, which is good. But whenever you get rid of an enemy's action, it then turns to a basic attack. And since we don't know who he's targeting because he's using a buff on himself, he could target our Cherufe. And if the bottom hit and the basic attack targets me, I'm pretty sure Cherufe dies. So we have a 33% chance I get really unlucky and he just dies. Or we bank on this critting so I could break it with a 4 hit. I'm gonna go for the crit. Come on, one roll. Okay, we got 2. Thank you. Yeah, if that was another basic there, we were probably dead. Alright, so we got through the run. Another tip I would suggest most players, try to use your artifacts every turn against a boss fight, even if you don't need one of these. Like this one would just heal up someone, so if no one's fully healed up, you should use this just so you get the charges, because when you're finished with a champion, all your artifacts refresh on their usage. Now, if this was, an actual run, I would suggest you go and catch this. This is a boss. You could use this. That's a pretty cool thing about Aethermancer. If you didn't play Monster Sanctuary, you could capture the bosses and use them. But I'm just going to go for the win here since this is a casual run. And I'm not even keeping this save file because I'm going to be restarting the same slot to showcase the next starter. And like I said, you get 2 XP now instead of 1. So let's see what we get here. Allies have 5% crit chance against the burn. We already saw that. This one, now on every 3 kits we generate, this one's not an aura. That's why we're seeing this again. Now on every 4 attacks from allies, we purge an enemy's Aether. Unfortunately, this hurts. If this was on Cherufe, this would be fine. But since this is going to be on our Wolpentinger, that means it won't activate the shock because the aura is coming from Wolpentinger and not Cherufe. So we still have an Aether issue. We do have a reroll, but out of this, I need the Aether. So I'm going to take critical Aether. And right here now, oh, see? We were rewarded for not doing the Witch on the reroll because, remember what I said, what I would want on the first trait? You could go back, rewind the video if you didn't hear it. I said Psychic Generator or Momentum. We got both of them, so that's great. Sidekick Generator is really good because whenever you get Sidekick, you just get a random Aether. Now, the game's smart programmed to give you a random Aether that you use. So this is great. And Momentum, every 3 attacks, we get power to ourselves. Now, this may seem like it takes a while to build up, but remember, if we do Fire Fang, that's 1 attack, and then an ally activates our sidekick, that's 2 attacks. So every other turn, you're getting momentum to activate, which gives you power, and this stacks with 2-headed, so you're going to be ramping up power really quickly. Like I said, though, I believe once we take Sidekick Generator, I should be comfortable with Aether, that the next time we get a trait and we see momentum, we can take this. This one is whenever power is applied to this monster, which is Orthrus, it heals our allies for 3. That may sound good, but 3 healing? You saw that fight. Can I show HP? It doesn't show HP, but yeah, you saw that fight. 3 HP wasn't going to do much. We were going to die. So, yeah, I'd rather take Sidekick Generator here. And we got lucky, we got a talisman. The base effect of talisman is whenever a buff is applied to your monster, there's a chance to get another one of those buffs. It also comes with 10% chance to critically hit, and the rare 15% chance to evade. Now this is insane. Why? Because Orthrus is not only getting a chance to, well, not a chance, it's getting a guaranteed sidekick whenever you fire Fang, and its signature trait is giving it a permanent power. So those are two really good buffs you want. So we're actually going to take the talisman and put it on it, even though that rear star effect from the drum is very good because it could activate twice. Remember, we said out of these two, we would want the sidekick on Orthrus. But now that we have talisman, which is better because it means we can maybe get two sidekicks or two power right away, we'd rather have that. And now we could give this drum to Wolpensinger because we could have the chance of triggering the Aether chance to get an extra Aether on action on our Wolpensinger. And now we have the chance of getting rid of these shoes, which are giving us the 15 evasion and the cleansing corruption, which was rear. But I could take that and get armor every turn now and critical damage when I crit. Because remember, we took the I took the shoes because, you know, they were just there because we needed an item, and two, we needed to cleanse the corruption because we were kind of hurting. But now I don't really need that because you'll soon see you actually cleanse your corruption, at least a good chunk of it, when you defeat a champion. So we're going to take that and take the gold. We're actually going to go back to the witch now because we didn't use her. And like we said, these were good. This is good. And this is great now. So we're actually just going to talk to her and we're going to take the free XP. Fortunately, I didn't get to show you the advanced tech of saving the witch after the champion fight, but hey, you got the idea of it, right? Like, if I didn't get the Magnus or sidekick generated right there, I was going to talk to the witch, I was going to roll on traits, and I was going to try to get one of those two on my Orthrus. Alright, so, yeah, like I said, after you beat a fight, you get a shrine here in case you lost the monsters. You definitely wanted to talk to the Consume Meal, because it cleanses 15 corruption, and there's meta progressions that make you cleanse even more. So as you saw, our corruption almost all went away. We have 2 left on Cherufe, unfortunately, because he just kept gaining much. And here's the guaranteed merchant. Like I said, you will always see after a champions fight, so you don't want to waste your gold before going into one, because then that means this merchant's pretty much dead. And the reason you would rather take a different room than the merchant and then get a merchant here is because that different room has a chance to give you more power, and you're not really missing anything, because unless you're just spending a tiny amount of gold on the first merchant and then a tiny amount on this one, then yeah, you would overall get power from both. But usually most people, they'll just spend a bunch of gold on one merchant, and then the second time they come across a merchant, they don't have money to spend, so you're not really getting power from that room. We unfortunately didn't get to utilize full power from the witch, but like I said, we got lucky. If I didn't get lucky, we were going to get full power by being able to re-roll and getting a trait that I did desire. Alright, so the shoes. Same base effect, but now there's a 20% chance on action to apply power to ourselves. That's pretty good. Belt. Belt is actually really nice, especially with the base of Cherufe. Cherufe is trying to interrupt because we have shock, and when we interrupt, there's a 50% chance we just get power. So that's good. And it naturally comes with a 10% chance to dodge an attack that's coming towards us. Blank mementos, for you actually playing on your first fresh file, you might want to take this. Maybe you used up one in each zone and you captured new monsters, so you know you could keep capturing more monsters. Souls, so you could do soul mechanics. I'm going to take the artifact here because this allows us to get Aether. It looks bad, right? Consumes all your Aether, then generates 7 Aether. There's a little trick that you can make this just pros, and I'll show you as soon as a run allows me to do so. Alright, so you already know the sword, that's an equipment. That's an interesting thing in this game. So if everyone has one equipment, when you go to the knight now, there's a chance that he'll either trade in. You could trade in one of your equipment. Maybe you don't like probably the armor is the weakest one we have right here. I could trade this in and get a new equipment, and it has a higher chance of being a higher rarity. Or if you like what you have, there's also a chance that he just upgrades this. So you start off as common, the second tier is rare, and then the last tier is epic. So I could upgrade this talisman to epic because it's already really good. I like what it's doing right now, and it could just get better. But Aether Spring. Remember, this is a permanent buff for all your party members the whole run. And this is just some random loot. Out of all of these, Aether Spring is my recommendation. Alright, so we're at the second biome now. The enemies are going to get harder. So, at the start of fight, at the start of your turn, so that means every turn, we're generating one fire Aether. Or we could generate one water Aether. This one, I guess I'll just give you my general rule of thumb I do. If you don't know which one you need, I usually open up my monsters and look at their actions. So right here we need 2 fire, 2 fire. So that's leaning towards we want the fire pick, right? Right here we have Bubble Trick. We only need 1 water to use it. And we have Aqua Pounce and Icy Wind needing water to utilize. But remember, the main thing we want to do with Orthrus every turn is Fire Fang. So, not only does Orthrus want fire, but our Cherufe also would like to use fire. And in my opinion, the priority is fire because Fire Fang is a must. You want to get out as many Fire Fangs every single turn. If you do so and you follow this rule, you will find yourself winning with Orthros a lot more than you'll find yourself losing. Interesting. This is actually a meta progression that you unlock later down the road. Since this is a fresh file run and we don't have that unlocked, you can't interact with that, which is unfortunate. Alright, here we have some new enemies. I'm going to check the perimeter, see if we can get a height advantage. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, we're going to have to fight them on the ground. Alright, so these guys over here with like the bandage on their back, these are Domovoi. They are, they can get pretty scary. They apply burn, and they could heal the team. Well, what's actually really scary is this book over here, Grimoire, which can do 2 actions in a turn. So we're going to try to take him out because he's the main threat in my opinion. Oh, huh. We still have that AoE burn passive. So they all lost the poise right there. So our Wolpensinger is getting hit pretty hard, it looks like. As we have both Domovois aiming at him. Unfortunately, I'm still going to do Fire Fang because I just want to get that power racking up. We get the Aether back, at least 1 Aether, random Aether, gave us a win there. And now I'm going to do Bubble Trick here to pop this. Nice. I'm actually going to interrupt that Domovoi that is using an action so we can reduce the damage going out to just a basic hit, which is really nice. Also, I don't know if you saw that, our critical Aether activated even though it was overkill on the dead Grimoire with the crit, because the shock crit on the Domovoi to give us that wild Aether right there. But that was actually really nice. So this action the top Domovoi is doing, that's healing. And this one down here is attacking. I want to kill the one that's attacking because obviously I want to reduce the amount of damage going out. But 2, if we kill the one that's attacking and the one that's at full HP is healing, we don't really care that it's healing because it's not going to heal that much HP, right? Because we didn't lower its HP to begin with, so it's not that big of a deal. But I have that opportunity to do Lightning Assault and just cancel its action and trigger Shock, so why not? And there you go. We're showing a nice usage of Cherufe and its allies. Just getting some nice interrupts in. That's how you want to play Cherufe if you did pick him. You can try to play defensive and passively like you would with Jotun or Nixie, the other starters. You need to be aggressive to have a chance at winning with Cherufe. That's why I picked aggressive allies to pair with him and not defensive ones. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been seeing a dominating run like this. Okay, so these are the Mandragoras of Biome 2 or Act 2, however you want to call it. Those gargoyles like to come out and attack us. So we have no Aether, and we're getting hit with an AoE. This is not good, so I'm actually going to use my Aether Whip here. It doesn't break any Aether, unfortunately, but we're going to cancel that action. We do not want that action going out. That is not good. I'm going to Bubble Trick over here. Maybe I get a crit. Okay, nice. So we cancel the Gargoyle from doing an action and shielding. I'm going to then attack it to get 50% more damage and generate some Aether. Unfortunately, we are getting Fire Fang at the end, which is not going to get activated twice. But it will generate at least one Aether because we're getting Sidekick. Oh, did you see that? We got 2 Aether back because as you can see on the UI, we got 2 Sidekicks thanks to the Talisman. How cool is that? Right? It's pretty dope. Alright, so I'm going to Bubble Trick here to give my Wolpensinger Sidekick and trigger my Orthrus's Sidekick on here. I'm going to be doing Lightning Assault because we do not want this Nosferatu to be using AoE. That's something you're going to have to prioritize when playing with Cherufe, is seeing when AoE damage is going out and trying your best to prevent it. So right now this guy's doing a buff, which is fine, but I'm just going to showcase, you know, while playing aggressive, you could just keep your enemies almost perma poise break as long as you pick the actions to do so. Like, yeah, I could have fired Fang, but we could also just break it to keep them, you know, hindered their actions on what they do. So I just have the dominating lead over them. Oh yeah, that actually, I was a little scared because I was like, oh man, Nosferatu's AoE could be really scary if it goes off. But yeah, we were able to prevent it on every turn, so that's awesome. Alright, so right here we have a chance of Burning Wave. This is AoE, hits every enemy. 3 hits for 4 damage, which is nice, and also burns the enemy. So if the enemy's weak to fire, that is 4 poise break minimum. Because of the 3 hits and the guaranteed burn triggers Cherufe's signature trait for 4 poise break on any enemy weak to fire. We have Lightning Chain. We don't have a chance to guarantee our crits, so this one doesn't have a high priority on my list. And then we have Stolen Gemstone, which allows us to steal 2 Aether. Stealing does help you trigger some interrupts if it goes off, and not only are you stealing enemy Aether from the enemy, but you're giving it to your allies so they could use it. And it puts Sidekick on him, which is actually really cool as he normally doesn't have a chance to get Sidekick, so I think I'm going to take that. That's a pretty cool action. Right here we have free actions. Okay, we have not... I don't think we've gotten a free action, but this is a free action. Free action allows you to use it without using your turn, because normally you're allowed to just use one action and then your turn ends, right? Or at least for that monster. A free action allows you to do that, and then you could do another action. So I normally like to just use Bubble Trick with my Wolpensinger, right? Now I could use the Stealing Dust and the Bubble Trick like I normally do, if I, of course, have the Aether to do so. So that's why free actions are pretty good. They allow you to do what you normally do, as well as another action. And actually, Ember Dart is a pretty decent one on Orthrus, because remember, it wants to attack twice. So Ember Dart is dealing damage, which counts as damage, right? And then you could do Fire Fang or any action after that, because that'll be 2 actions in one turn, giving it the power boost. But that's pretty cute. This one generates 2 random Aether and applies 2 Sidekick to your target ally. So if you target this on yourself, you're getting 2 Sidekick and you're generating 2 random Aether. Out of all these though, none of them look too good. I think I'm just going to take the Ember Dart. I most likely won't use that unless we have excess Aether to do so. So right here, if you see these sparkling things, and you have the option to talk to them, that's an NPC. If you talk to the NPC, it gets recruited to the hub of the game, and it'll cleanse some corruption. I don't recommend you talk to them right away. Like I said, my number one tip, if you ever see things like these, usually interact with them when you defeat all the monsters on the floor. That way you have a higher chance of getting full value, as our Orthrus does not have any corruption. So if our Orthrus gets some corruption, we could cleanse that off and getting full value. You see? So right here we picked up a Wild Blade. Its base effect is increase your crit chance. Our group, all of us, well, these two ones are crit. So this is a good item. You already have a decent one just because the star effect is good. But let's see what it does. So we're getting 20% crit chance. That's great. Wild conversion. Whenever you generate an Aether, it's convert into wild. So instead of fire, wind, earth, and water, there's another Aether. You may have seen it, but we never obtained it yet. That's wild Aether. And that allows it to count as any element. So that's really strong. It also allows us to start off with a sidekick, and our basic attacks generate one additional fire Aether. I think that's better than our base armor that we have right now, so I'm going to get rid of that. Just to have that increased crit chance. That's all I'm really taking it for, is the increased crit chance. And sometimes we do basic attack, and it'll generate more fire Aether. So we could assist our Orthrus in doing Fire Fangs, and maybe even some Fire Darts. Alright, it doesn't look like there's a height advantage around here, because that's the end of the floor. So yeah, at least with Cherufe and this run I have going, I suggest you take out Nosferatu. This thing's scary. Alright, we could Fire Fang, so we're going to Fire Fang the Nosferatu. Our Cherufe does start off with a sidekick, which is kind of cute, because that counts as Fire Element, breaking its poise even lower. We're going to debut Bubble Trick, which gets the lucky crit, so the Wild breaks it, so we didn't even need the sidekick from Orthrus right there. We already know that our Domovoy is using a healing action, so I don't need to really interact with him, and our Wolpensinger is attacking on the bottom, which is fine, because if it corrupts our Orthrus, we have an NPC on the floor that can cleanse 3 corruption, which is great. So let's see what happens. So we take 8 damage. Oh, we take 10. Wow, that's perfect 3 corruption right there that we can now cleanse if I choose to do so. So both of these are attacking now. I'm going to do Fire Fang on the Wolpensinger. Generate some Aether. Let's see what I got here. I'm going to do the Jewel Cutter on the Wolpensinger, hoping to at least get 1 crit. We did, perfect. Now we break the poise so its damage doesn't go out. And the reason I did that is because I know my Cherufe has a 4x4 fire wind attack. And we just need 1 crit to break its poise, and then it doesn't do any damage as well. Now I know to some it may look like we're RNG rolling and getting lucky. But you have to remember, I mean, it's 4 hits coming off of a blade and a 25 base, and we have 20% crit chance here. So it's a very high chance we just get that crit, you know? So like, yeah, you could say I got lucky, but if you just look at the numbers, it's almost undeniable that I should have gotten that crit. Like I said, we're getting 2 XP per fight. That's awesome. We picked up actually another artifact there, which is really good. And now I'm going to go and rescue this NPC. Notice how I have 4, 8, 3 corruption going from top to bottom. I'll let you guys read that dialogue when you rescue this. But, oh, they nerfed it. You only lose 2 corruption now instead of 3. Interesting. Or was it always 2? I could have sworn it was 3. 3 came to mind. Alright, so of the rooms we could get another artifact, which also has a chance of upgrading artifacts. As of this patch, Artifacts was only able to get to level 2. Now you could get a level 3 artifact, kind of like common, uncommon, and epic. So you could get epic artifacts now. So that's a reason to go there. We have RNG loot, and then we have the cook. If you see this rolling pin, that's the cook. The cook is my preferred choice. Now, it's not always guaranteed, but the cook has a chance to give you an extra perk. In my opinion, that is the strongest buff you could get in your run. That will make your monsters have a permanent buff for now until you win or lose the run. So that's why I usually go for the cook. So before I explain what that is, let's just see what I get. Because it doesn't always give you that. There's a chance. Okay. So the second best thing it could do is give you a random amount of XP. Anywhere from 2 to 4. Obviously random XP. This counts as basically us doing 4 or 2 to 4 fights we normally wouldn't in a run to help us level up quicker and scale our power. Or if you don't want that, I don't know why you wouldn't, you could just cleanse some corruption. Now the better option was, if I got lucky, notice how under our elements and types with Earth, Fire, Critical, Purge, Burn, the perk is 25 crit. We could get a perk down there, and sometimes you could just get crit 25 again, giving us 50% crit chance. That's something I was looking towards getting, but unfortunately we did not get that, so I'm going to take the random XP. Where do I want that XP to go to, though? So we're at 5. We're almost at 6 in 3 battles. This one... Okay, so these two are tied. Of these two, I think my Orthrus is the one that'll be carrying runs. Yeah, I think my Orthrus will be the winner of the group. So I'm going to give him the XP. Unfortunately, rolled and only got 2. That sucks. But, yeah, that's why the cook can sometimes be good. Skull is a good base effect whenever you apply a debuff. So kind of like the burn from Cherufe's Ignite. We have a 15% chance to put another stack. We're not doing a burn build. We're doing a crit build this run. So that doesn't really benefit us too much. We have Double Grimoire and Nosferatu. We still want to take out Nosferatu because it has some nasty AoE damage. And you don't want that to go through. Outside of the nasty AoE damage, it just has some really strong single target attacks as well. So yeah, you just don't want to see that at all. Alright, so what do we got here? I'm actually going to basic attack here because we get an extra Fire Aether. And our Orthrus is going to assist... well, I guess we got lucky and got a crit, so it just did that. But yeah, our Orthrus was going to assist there, helping us break. And I believe we have a free action, right? Yeah. Ooh, that doesn't count, though. Well, remember one of Wolpensinger's signature trait allows you to copy actions. Since we've been killing our enemies and preventing them from doing actions, we still have Stone Punch stored from the Warden boss fight. So, remember, when we use the stolen action, it uses the Aether that it costs. So that is the 2 Earth. But as you see, we only have 1 Earth, but we have a purple that counts as wild. That's why I'm able to use Stone Punch. And then it purges the enemy's Aether of that type. So since we're using 2 Earth, it purges 2 Earth. And since the enemy's using a Wind and Earth action, and we're going to cleanse 2 Earth, it won't have any Earth to pick from, so it cancels the action it's doing. So this is like a clutch moment we got with... finishing our fight so quick, we were able to preserve that action and take advantage of it, so we reduce the amount of damage we're taking. Alrighty. Both of them are buffing up, so we're just going to hit the back one, I guess. Doesn't really matter which one we hit here, because both of them are not dealing damage, so you could just take your turn and kill them slowly. I would like to kill one though without using a bunch of Aether. I'll put the burn. Because if I don't get the kill, the burn will, because it's using an action, and it would proc, and yeah, I guess we just got really lucky with the crits there, and it just killed it before the sidekick even came through. So the sidekick went on to the other Grimoire, which is really nice. So that's dope. Alright, well, here you go. This is a perfect example of how scaling up the Icy Assault would benefit us, because now it's doing 35 damage, which is more than enough to just kill it on its own. But I still want to play optimally and just show you how a free action works. So here's Fire Dart. And notice how we could still do our regular actions. That's why free actions are really nice. So look for those whenever you have the opportunity to. Fortunately, anything I do here will kill, but we have a low chance to critically hit, so I'm going to go for that just to get some more worthiness, because we have not hit level 2 yet. We want to hit level 2 before the run's over, because, like I said, it's just a permanent buff for the, not just this run, for the whole game. Like your whole save file, you will have a permanent buff if you get your worthiness up. So you want to do that as quick as you can. And right here, that was actually a perfect example of that. We did some damage with Orthrus, so that increases his worthiness for damage dealt. We generated some Aether by stealing, so that increases Cherufe's, and then we got the killing blow with Wolpentinger and got some more worthiness there. So all of them dipped in for more worthiness when we could have just killed with Icy Assault, and only Orthrus would have got more worthiness and the other two wouldn't have. Alright, so on attack applies 1 burn to the enemy for every power stack on this monster. So this is actually a slow scaling effect that could be pretty nuts. Because every turn we are trying to at least get 1 power minimum from activating our signature trait. So applying more burns means if the enemy does actions, they'll be taking more damage passively on their turn. If we interrupt them, that's more just burst damage as they take the burn damage right away. It also synergizes with Cherufe as the burn can help break poise, so that's a really good contender. We're not really healing that much. We would have to do 10 turns just to get 1 Wild Aether, so no thank you. So for every 3 power applied to allies, generate 1 wild one. So this one's not that good. It's just slow building because only Orthrus is getting power. So I could re-roll right here, or we could just take this. I mean, like I said, this one's decent. And we'll do just that. It's good enough to get the run going. We found a rare Slav. The base effect is at the end of combat. You just cleanse 3 corruption. That's good. Now, the random perks we got is kind of like the same one we have on our sword, Fire Generator. Our basic attacks generate an extra Fire Aether. And we start off with 2 weakness, which, like I mentioned before, weakness reduces the damage the enemy does by 3. So, we don't really want that. We're going for an aggressive strategy to kill our enemies before they kill us. In our next run, I believe Jotun, in the order, I'm going by like order of left to right. I believe Jotun is right next to Cherufe. Jotun would have actually preferred having weakness because it likes to play defensive. Alright, so in this pact, Mephisto. This guy has been nerfed, I think, twice or 3 times now. So it's not as scary as it used to be, but it's scaled off of debuffs. The only debuffs our team is doing is burn, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I still want to take out Grimoire just because if it gets his 2 actions off, that's going to be a lot of damage on our team, and we don't want that to happen. Now, obviously, that's something you probably wouldn't know of, like, you know, Mephisto getting nerfed twice and being a pain in the butt, but yeah, that's just the state of the game right now. I'm going to try to kill this Grimoire if I can. Nice, we got a crit there. So right there you saw I got 2 terror on me. That's because of Mephisto's signature trait. The first ally and enemy that attacks gets either 2 terror or 2 burn. So you've seen burn throughout the run. Terror, it increases the damage you take. Actually, let's just read the tooltip. The first hit of an incoming attack deals 1 additional damage for each stack of terror. So if we were supposed to get hit for 5, since we have 2 terror, that'll deal 7 damage instead. And it's converted into wild damage, so it doesn't matter what the poise is, it'll just break our poise. But if you notice, we don't have poise as the player. Only the enemy does. That's why that text is there. And then the stat gets reduced by half. So when I take damage now with my Orthrus, I'm going to take more damage because I have terror on me. So I'm going to do a grapple to do the poise break on Mephisto, but it's preventing the action from the Domovoy from going off, and it's just going to be a basic attack. Oh, so close to breaking him. Ooh, nice dodge. Ooh. So as you can see, after the nerfs, Mephisto's still a little pain in the butt, you know? But I could break right here. I'm gonna actually break this. And Mephisto, you can notice on the top right, that's its passive. Every time it gets, I believe, 10. Is it 10 or... Yeah, so every time it gets 10 debuffs on all enemies in combat, it gets an increase in damage and dodge chance. So I have Sidekick on my Orthrus. I'm just going to cancel this thing from doing its buff and just kill it. Put it out as misery. Orthrus is going to trigger its Sidekick. That's in kill range. And now we have Lightning Assault, which will break the Domovoy. We didn't even need the crit, but we always are blessed to have them. And then trigger our allies' sidekicks. As you can see, that little burn may not seem like much, but every bit of passive damage that we're putting on the enemies will matter in the long run. So since this is coming to a closure, we're just gonna stolen gems there. Oh, you see all that burn that just popped off there? That's because of the passive. We're going to actually keep Wild Ritual. That's actually insane. We stored Wild Ritual. As you can see, it generates us 3 Wild Aether and gives power to our Wilpensinger. That's pretty nice if we could keep that until the final boss, but I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have any passives here besides this to use, but that will use up the action I have stored, and I want to do that. So out of Wilpensinger and Orthrus getting to Worthiness 2, I want my Orthrus to get to Worthiness 2 first. Oh, there we go! Our Cherufe hit Worthiness 2, and as you can see, it now has a permanent health plus 5. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but like I said, every little buff you get will help you out. So for every 4 burn applied to enemies, we generate 1 Fire Aether. It's an aura, so no matter who's generating the burn, we'll just get that. So that's decent. This one is whenever I purge or steal Aether, I break an extra poise on the enemy. So that's pretty good because we do have grapple and we do have the action that steals, so we could activate this. Or we could get an aura of splatter. Allies gain 25% crit chance against enemies with bleed. When our enemy dies, we could take those bleed stacks and put it on the next enemy, just having a permanent effect that just carries over and causes a bunch of damage. Now, the only way we are getting bleed at the moment is from Lightning Assault. So that's the only downside if I take this. The only way I have generating is I need to do that action. Right? Yeah, that's the only way we're getting bleed. But this is a really good passive. In boss fights, I'll make sure to get that up as quick as I can. Ooh, Sleighted Hands. We get 3 crit damage. Oh my god. We get 3 crit damage. Oh, we got rid of the armor. Okay. We get 3 crit damage on top of the 4 from Jewel Cutter, so that's 7, right? And every third hit of an action is a guaranteed critical hit. Now, if we're doing AoE, it's every second. So, since Jewel Cutter hits 4 times, that means the third hit is always a critical hit if we take Sleighted Hands. And it does more critical damage. So, that's really good. Or we could take Hunt, where we increase all our allies' chance to crit by 15% and give them all 2 crit damage. I think I'm going to take that one. Because, like I said, I believe Orthrus is the carry of our run. The fact that it's stacking up power, it has Icy Assault to hit the enemy as hard as we can with those power stacks. That's just the way to go. Scepter, its base effect. At the end of your turn, you just get a temporary power. So unlike power, which is permanent, it stays with you forever. The temporary power is just until you use an action that deals damage, and you heal yourself for 6. So it's okay, but I don't really need that effect. Because as you play more of this game, you'll realize you can't have 3 carries on the team. You could only really have 1. That's why I prioritize Orthrus always getting his actions out, and the rest are just doing mini things. So right here is a challenge circle. You could take one, and it gives you XP and worthiness. We want our Orthrus to level up, so unfortunately if you fail, you do get corruption. So you have a chance to take the challenge again. Okay, that's 10 corruption. That's not good. Okay, so we took 10 corruption to get worthiness 2, but our Orthrus now has a permanent damage +1. Alright, that's really good. Because, if you look now, for those who remember Aqua Pounce was 3x2. That permanent damage +1 now means our Aqua Pounce is doing 3x3. And whenever we get power from our signature, that 3x3 is just going to go to 3 to 4, 3 to 5, 3 to 6, even quicker. Look at our Fire Fang went from 2 to 5 to 2 to 6. And our Icy Assault is already starting at 20 damage instead of 15. And look at this, Fire Dart, 2-6 instead of 2-4. +1 damage may not seem that good, but when you factor in multi-hitting actions like Icy Assault, Aqua Pounce, and stuff, oh my god, it just scales really hard. Do not underestimate +1 damage on multi-hitting attacks, guys. Alright, let's go see what's at the top of the room, because like I said, you always want to clear out the floors to give you more XP and a higher chance of winning, because you'll be leveling up quicker. Alright, I want the height advantage. This room is weirdly made. They weren't able to allow me to dash forward. But yeah, Nosferatu, always take it down. And as you see, our Orthrus starts off at 17 out of 40. That's really scary, because we got unlucky with that little mini game down there. We are getting hit by the Nosferatu, but I'm not too worried just because we are doing Fire Fang. We have a chance to crit, so yeah, that's just out of the picture. Alright, our next guy that's doing an action is this dude over here, the Mephisto. We're going to do Bubble Trick. Oh, and by the way, if anyone finds the combat speed slow, that's because I'm playing on 1.x. You could open this up and increase the speed, but since I'm doing, you know, a beginner's guide, I'm trying my best to over-explain as much as I can. That's why I have it on 1. But if you do find a speed slow, you can always go and increase it. Alright, right here we're going to interrupt the action that the Mephisto is doing. We get very lucky. Oh my god. We got really lucky right there, and we just straight up killed him. So, wow. Okay. we're doing really well. Yeah, right here, I'm just gonna do a Fire Fang. Try to get everyone some worthiness. That extra burn we got there, that's another Poise Break. Beautiful to see. Pop that Bubble Trick. You know, by now you guys can get the gist of what the team's trying to do. It's just doing nasty things, baby. Oh, damn, you got greedy, boy. What about Cherufe? He was trying to get in on some of that. But right there, Whoopenzinger, his level 2, now he has a 25% chance to just evade any hit coming at him. That's really strong. That's a good defensive trait to have. Because he is really squishy if you look at his base HP. You know, I'm tempted to take this. Just because our corruption's pretty high here. 23 and 13. I'm not doing really supportive action, so we're not really ever getting that buff. We're just getting the sidekick damage, which is nice, and we're getting a chance to get Aether. That's the only real reason we're utilizing the drum. Now that I mentioned that, the drum is still really good that you want that. What I will do, this little, I don't know what you want to call these, events or something? But this one gives your ally plus 5 health. We're going to give that obviously to Orthrus because he is low, hurting with a 23 corruption. So we want him to start off with some more HP to give ourselves a chance to win this upcoming boss fight. So we have a chance to go to a witch again. I want to do lightning assault with my Orthrus with my Cherufe as early as possible to get lightning assault activated, or sorry, to get the bleed on the enemy so we can get splatter activated as early as possible. These are great passives. Yeah, these are just, this one could probably be better, but we'll just take it for now. So out of all these rooms, we could go to the merchant, which I already explained you don't want to. We could go to the witch, but we already look at our things and we don't really need to, so I'll just take the RNG loot, and maybe the game blesses us with something good. As you can see, it's an orange color. It's epic. We get 2 XP. Okay. So I was saying, if you didn't want the RNG, you could go to the witch for the guaranteed 1 XP, or I guess sometimes you get lucky and you get 2 XP here. So right here, we can take Power Brand. It heals an ally for 15 and puts 3 temporary power on them. We could get Blood Drain. Ooh, that's a 4/5 water hit and heals all allies for 12. So 3 less healed in this one, but you don't get the power, but you get the damage. That's pretty nuts. And then right here, you get Overheated Smash. If we interrupt the enemy from doing something, we'll get a power, but we don't want to be the one interrupting. We want Cherufe to be doing that. So if you don't like any options and you already have 4 actions, you could actually just get a plus 5 health. I think I'm just going to take that because we can reroll. But like I said, almost everything you want to do with Orthrus is just Fire Fang, Fire Fang, Fire Fang, Fire Fang. So I don't have real time to use other actions. And we already have a finisher. Once I have enough power and the boss comes into kill range, I could just Icy Assault them. So I'm just going to take the 5 HP. It increases my chance for survivability. And it just utilizes his level up as most efficient as we can. Okay, so we have Starspawn. Starspawn's an interesting boss, because every turn, it's going to pick a random element, and if you or Starspawn uses that element, it generates wild Aether for itself. So right there, it picked water. So if I use a water action, I'm going to generate wild Aether for itself. We don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do first is activate Lightning Assaults, because we want this bleed on the enemy as quick as possible. And now... Oh. That was unfortunate, we only generated 1. You know what? Since my Orthrus is getting attacked and we generate a random Aether with this, we'll pray for the 50-50. Do I get water or do I get fire? I'm gonna close my eyes. Fire, fire, fire. Oh, lucky. Okay, that times I'll agree with you guys. I got lucky. Alright, so now we can do Fire Fang, which has a 25% chance to crit thanks to the splatter effect, since it has a burn on it. And sweet, we just broke it right there. And now we could attack the enemy. I'm just gonna go all out and do a Jewel Cutter because we have the crit damage, we have the hunt, and we have the splatter. Let's see how much times we crit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, boys. Beautiful. Alright. How much Aether we got? Not too much. Alright, so we're gonna Fire Fang. Nice. Oh yeah, and definitely capture this one for those doing casual runs. Having this guy as a monster allows you to utilize its signature where it picks an element and then you just generate wild Aether. Like, once you play with Starspawn, you'll understand the importance of having Aether, because once you don't have it on your team, you'll realize, oh my god, I miss not having that free Aether generation that it was constantly doing for my team. But, yeah, there we go. That's the showcase of having Splatter, getting it set up real early with the, Lightning Assault? Yeah, Lightning Assault. And how we just scaled. And like I said, when you defeat the boss, you always get 1 more XP than you were normally getting. So we got 3 XP there. And we got an epic artifact from beating it. Cool. So, we go into here. You definitely talk to the pot as it cleanses your corruption. I believe only 15. Fortunately, Orthrus, I guess, took a beating because he's still going to be -8. Now you get your free merchants. Let's see what we get. We could pick this up for a 10% crit chance. That's pretty decent. What is our base one doing? So we get about 20. Wild conversion, a starting sidekick, and fire generator. So I get a temporary power which gets used right away like the sidekick, but sidekick's better because it counts as poise damage. And we get a higher chance to crits. Now Banner. Banner is one of really good items for aggressive teams because it's AoE, crit chance, and dodge chance. That's the base effect. And then, as you see, we have a chance to just get Aether with Aether chance plus 30, and debuffs deal 1 more damage, which counts our burn. So that's actually pretty good. I might snag that. It's a slight decrease because we're only getting 33% chance to get the Aether instead of the 50 on here. And we're losing some sidekick damage, which affects mostly 2 of us, our Wolpinsinger and Orthrus, but sometimes our Cherufe can apply sidekick to itself. But giving our Orthrus a higher chance to crits and our allies to evade, I think is worth it. So I'm going to take that instead. I'm going to take the Shielding Dust. This is just a really good artifact. It just shields your allies for 10. Since we have no form of mitigation, that is very useful. And I'm just going to buy the Soul. Not that I need it, but there are events in this biome that you really want to have Soul for. So that's why we're doing that. So, as you saw in the first floor, or the first biome, when we went to the Aether Spring, we were able to get a boon. We picked the one where random loot has a 35% chance of being a higher tier. And in this floor that we picked, we were able to always start off with a Fire Aether. And now you could get it again in the third biome. And the effect is different depending on your 2 prior choices. Let me just find it before I start talking to see what it is. Okay, so yeah. Since I picked Fire in Biome 1 and Fire in Biome 2, that means we actually get the unique effect in Biome 3. Every 3 turns in combat with Fire, we have we're going to get a permanent power for the rest of that fight. Now, as it stands right now in trash enemies, we're usually finishing the fights on round 3. So increasing our fire damage by 1, that could be pretty good. It makes our ignite a 3-4, makes our lightning assault a 4-5. It makes my fire fang a 2-7. So right there you get a big immediate effect. But I already know for this boss and the final boss, we will definitely be going to round 3. And I'd rather have all of my damage doing 1 more, because we're going to need the extra help. So yeah. It might even get to round 6, so we'll actually get 2 usage instead of just 1. Okay, so right there we came across the blue plants. By interacting with this plant, you get XP, and it gives you a weighted stat increase. So when I level up to 8, there's a higher chance that whichever trait I pick, I'll have a chance of getting that one. And actually, that's perfect, because our Orthrus is almost to level 8, where we'll get a trait again. And since we didn't get Magnus power before, we could try to get Magnus again. Magnus is a power trait, so I'm going to go lean towards that and see if we could pick it up. If we could get that, our Orthrus is going to look like a monster. For anyone out there, if it's your first time playing, or you've been playing for a while and you think Orthrus is bad, nah. Orthrus is going to show you what it could do. Orthrus is nasty. Alright, so I guess this is a better way to show you. So Naga, this guy can be scary if you have it use Flame Skewer. Right now it's just using aquatic armor, which puts force on itself, which actually triggers its signature trait. As long as it has 1 force or more, every time you attack it, it retaliates by making you miss your first hit and hits you back with an attack. So that's scary. The Jin is hitting us with Speed of Sound, which is a 4x7. Insane. So, and it also puts 2 dodge on it. If I didn't go over dodge, every time you hit with your second move, it'll just dodge it. So while Naga's dodging the first hit of your attack, Daijin's dodging your second one with dodge. And then Sphinx is just a support monster. If you kill the 2 aggressive monsters, then it can't learn any attacks, so it's not going to do much to you. So right now, I'm trying to get rid of the Naga. I find the Naga is going to be much more of a threat than the Jin. Unfortunately, I didn't get lucky with crits, so I'm going to grapple to cancel this 28 damage coming out at us, which is scary. Nice. And now I'm going to actually use this Aether Whip, because that's how afraid I am of a Naga. If this is your first time on the channel, I have a video where the Naga one-shot my tank. That's how crazy Nagas can be, so... Since we have no tanks and we're all aggressive here, we definitely do not want to have this Naga pop off, so... We're trying to kill this boy as quick as we can. So like I said, the Sphinx doesn't learn any attacks, but it does get Sidekick. That's why it was able to hit me there. Alright, we're going to Fire Fang. I'm going to take out this Dijin to not even worry about it. And then we'll take care of that Naga back there. Okay, my Wolfensinger actually just canceled it, so I guess I don't have to worry about it too much. We'll just shut it down though. And now I could hit this thingy. I'll just steal its Aether, give me Sidekick so we could finish off the next round quicker. And since this is now round 3, as you see, we get the permanent power for this fight. Just this fight, not all fights. We're going to show off Fire Dart, because it's a free hit. Which is actually insane. Fire Dart becomes a free hit that does all that damage just because we have Magnus hit and Momentum Power. And Wow, that's incredible that it was able to do all that. So yeah, remember it started off as a puny 2x2. Look what it could do now. Absolutely beautiful. So we have a chance to get a free action. That puts 3 burn on the enemy. Not the greatest, but it is a free action. Do I want to take it though? No, I'd rather take the 5 HP. Alright, right here we got AoE damage, and some purging that could heal. You know what? I'm gonna just pass. I'm gonna just take the HP. There we go. That's what we were looking for, momentum. Now you're gonna see Orthrus, why he's a real menace. We got a rear one. It gives us initial force. If you've never seen force before, force means your first attack is guaranteed to be a critical hit. But I don't need one attack being guaranteed. I would rather have a higher chance to crit more often than not, because these fights last past round 1, especially on your fresh file. You're not going to be winning on round 1. Except there might be a starter that can win on round 1, so if you want to see that and you're liking this content so far, please, consider subscribing so you see the future runs. Alrighty. I'm gonna break this with the help of Orthrus. And then I'm gonna cancel Amit at the top. Also, I just realized I did not go over these 2 new monsters in the fight. So, we have Medusa. Medusa is crazy. So, every time you attack it, it can cleanse debuffs on it. And its signature trait, Lamentation of Woes, every time it cleanses 5 debuff, it just hits all your allies for 5 damage. That's earth and water. And it puts 4 debuffs on each of them. This is very scary, and you usually want to take this out quick as possible. Now the second threat is Amit. This guy is a monster. This guy's got nerfed in the alpha or beta because it was one-shotting the users. It still is very strong, so you want to prioritize killing him next. And the action it's doing right now is putting regeneration. So normally regeneration heals at the start of the turn, and that's it. Amit doesn't heal at the start of the turn. Amit heals when it attacks. So when it attacks you, let's say it does 10 damage twice, that's 20. And then whatever the regeneration healed him for, that also hits you. So if it heals for, I think it usually heals for 10%. So that's 14 HP right there because he's 141. So you're getting hit for 34 damage. It's an insane amount of burst damage. You don't want to be seeing that. So just interrupt him, cancel that action he's doing, and maybe you get lucky if you copied the build. Remember, if you are getting the same exact perks as I am, let me know down in the comments below. I'm actually curious, is the first run on a fresh file seeded that you guys could do exactly what I'm doing as well? Alright, we're gonna Fire Fang here. Yeah, I mean, he's dominating. He's dominating. He's a monster. Actually, yeah, I'll just chill. I was thinking of doing Jewel Cutter, but yeah, this is just guaranteed he's dead. Whew, what a monster. Burn, baby, burn. So if we didn't get lucky here and get any crits, he's still dead because he was using an action, and since he's burn, the burn was going to trigger dealing damage to him, and I'm pretty sure he was in kill range to die to that burn. Wow. So how much damage does Orthrus just do by himself without any sidekick backup? 54. What a lad. Alright, so we're just doing Stolen Gem here to increase our worthiness, and then I'm going to Jewel Cutter for the most amount of damage. Yeah. So far, so good. We're not guaranteed to win yet. If any of you are thinking, oh, there's no point of continuing watching the video. I mean, this is it. This guy's just dominating. He's going to win. No, there's a chance I lose. Alright, so Lance is one of my all-time favorite accessories or equipment because it makes your first damage deal wild damage. So you're able to break any poise that you want, at least for the first hit. And as you can see, it increases wild damage. So if you have a monster that's just doing one attack and it just hits really hard, this is a great equipment on them. Unfortunately, though, the perk on it isn't that good, and I don't really want to give up anything I have for that. But yeah, Lance is one of my favorite equipment to get when I normally play. It just doesn't serve much of a purpose right now because we don't really need that extra hit. If you're fighting Tassel and Medusa, take out the Medusa. You gotta take out that Medusa, because these Tassel Worms are gonna put AoE poison on everyone, including their own allies. And remember, every time Medusa's hit, it cleanses debuff on itself, so you'll be like, oh. It's just getting souped up because the allies are boosting it to do that. So yeah, that's why you wanna get rid of that Medusa as quick as possible so it doesn't retaliate and take advantage of the free poison those two Tassel Worms are putting on yourself and their allies. In fact, can I just kill one of them? I can't kill them. I'm gonna go for some damage and I'm gonna cancel this action and see how lucky we get here. Okay, we got really nice, perfect. So yeah, if anyone was questioning Sidekick and stuff, don't. Sidekick's really good. It just does the thing, man. It just does it. It's just that type, you know? It's beautiful. And yeah, the Talisman double procking right there is like the cherry on top that's just making us dominate right now. Us getting that Talisman was very lucky, as it allows us to do some nutty things. Getting overwhelming power to synergize with the newly buffed Cherufe is also really nice, helping us break poise, canceling enemies' actions, triggering the burn, preventing damage from going out. It's just amazing. So this is really nice, since we have Splatter and we're hoping that we get the bleed on the enemy. This helps me get another source to do that. And I think that's all we really need to say. Aether Fiend used to be broken. This used to be an aura. I have a video covering it way back in the early days in the demo before it got nerfed. It's still good, just not as OP as it once was. And this one, every 4 burns, we get a Fire Aether. We don't really care about that. We just want to get Splatter activated now so we could scale and kill bosses. Because we're going to need that for the next boss fight. Alright. Sidekick Generator. Another way to get Aether so we could start doing big actions. Or we could have it that his crit also applies bleed, triggering another way to get Splatter. This is actually a complex decision. Might seem easy to some. I'm gonna actually go with the Sidekick Generator. Actually, am I? No, I'm gonna go with the crit. Because once we have everything established, I'm gonna be wanting to fire out jewels as much as I can. Jewel cutters. Alright, we killed every enemy. We're now going to the next floor. We could go get an artifact if I want. I could get a random rare loot, or we could go to the cook. Like I said, the cook, in my opinion, is the best NPC if you get lucky by getting that extra perk. We'll see if the game is kind to us and gives us that perk that I'm talking about to showcase to you guys. Okay, so if you get in Biome 3, it gives you 3 to 5 XP. Unfortunately, I can't show you the extra perk, I guess. The game just doesn't want me to show you it. So we already have a good free action on Orthrus with the scaling that we have now, so I don't want him to get a free action. If anyone's going to get a free action that needs it, I mean, we have a free action here I could steal. So, yeah, if anyone needs a free action, it's going to be my Cherufe, so I'm going to give the XP to him to try to get... Oh, wow, we got lucky. We got the 5, 3 out of 5. Beautiful. But yeah, as you can see, we need so much XP for a fight that it's not really that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to amount to much. I think we're all still going to end where we normally would. But we'll see. Usually in the final biome, you want to explore first before you do fights. Unfortunately, we found one of the fights. It's because there's you could come across another blue plant, which could influence what you get when you level up, and I was trying to see if there was one more that was generated in this biome. Out of these enemies, the new one is Surket. Surket, whenever you attack it and it has shields to its signature trait, if you have poison, it just triggers it right away. So be careful for that. And it gives all its allies force, which gives the enemy a guaranteed chance to critically hit. So be aware of that. So since you don't see the red peg coming towards your side, right? Kind of like how the Djin's doing an attack because you see it coming towards your side, the left side. This one's doing a buff. It's blue, so I don't really care for that right now. So I'm just going to go and try to kill this Djin since he's the only one attacking and get him out of there as quick as we can. Actually, I could steal this Aether. Then I could sidekick him. I didn't get lucky. Since I know this is the last biome, and we have a bunch of charges on our artifacts... Oh, actually, I could show you right now. So yeah, the card one, I think I told you guys this, but I didn't even realize I haven't showcased it yet. So you ideally want to use this when you have the lowest amount of Aether. So you're only losing 2 Aether, but you're generating 7, right? So this is like the best time. Obviously the best time to use it when you have no Aether, so you just generate 7. That's like the best time to do it, but it's we've been having a decent amount of Aether generation that I just haven't had a moment to showcase it to you guys, so I didn't forget. Actually, that's also a great spot to showcase Splatter right there. Notice how the circuit had one water poise left, but since we killed the Djin and it had bleed stacks on it, Splatter, remember, when the enemy dies, it carries over half of its stacks to the other enemies. So that's why that one water left over was able to break, because we had one bleed stack on it. So that's a pretty cool interaction. We're just doing typical things here. Let's see. That guy's trying to heal him. I'm just gonna go kill him. And then next turn, the Sphinx is dead because the Sphinx is not doing any attacks, as it's all supports. As you'll soon come to learn. While that sounds bad fighting it, it's actually really good. Sphinx is one of the stronger support monsters in the game. I love using Sphinx. I also hate fighting them. It's just I'm doing a pretty decent job canceling them from snowballing my team. And Jewel Cutter. 1, 2, 3. Nice. 3 is the sweet number because it generates this wild Aether, and it puts some bleed on the enemy while dealing a truckload of damage. Alright, we level up. Like I said, there's nothing else I really want here, so I'm just going to take some more HP. Ooh. You got lucky and got an hourglass. Epic. So yeah. That's an altar. That's great. That's going to set us up for the 2 boss fights. That's the thing about this game on Act... Interesting. On Act 3, when you beat the boss, there's another boss after it. So if you get an altar going into the boss fight, that is probably the best RNG because you can that you can get, because not only is it affecting the Act 3 boss, but it could also affect the Act 4 or the final boss. That plant we found right there cleanses corruption, which is really nice, but I have to give up 2 soul to do so. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do that because I'd rather use the altar, which gives me a buff for the 2 boss fights. And there was no plant, so we unfortunately won't be taking advantage of that. Naga has scarred me for life, so we're taking out Naga first, and then I'm going to take out Amit. Depending, I guess, on what they are doing. Let's see. Flame Skewer and an attack. Ooh, these boys came with no games being played today. That's not good for me. I'm going to cancel the Blossom by stealing. And then I'm just going to Jewel Cutter to guarantee this Flame Skewer does not go through, because that is a scary attack if it goes through. It hits like 30 damage minimum. It's very, very scary. Since we have so much artifact charges... Damn, this is actually crazy how much artifact charges we have. Interesting, you could get 2 of the same epics? I thought they changed that. Well, since we have so many charges, the Hourglass is interesting as it's AoE heal and cleanses 5 corruption. Since we have a decent chunk of corruption and this fight will last at least 2 rounds, we may as well do that to reduce the corruption we're taking, you know? And I'm just going to basic attack here. Generate some Aether for next turn. And then go for the kill. Ooh. Orthrus getting a bunch of corruption there. It's okay though, he's gonna get his payback soon. We're gonna do Fire Dart here. And then we're gonna get the Fire Fang here. Beautiful. And since we have so many turns, we're going to do another Epic Hourglass to cleanse more corruption on our allies. So we go into the boss fight as Tippy Top Shapes at full HP. Let's see, how often do I crit here? Once? Got 2 crits, which was enough to break, so it didn't do its power-up. So, dope. And I think we're just going to do one last usage here to make sure we have no corruption now. Beautiful. So Ember Dart's our first hit. And our second hit is going to be Fire Fang. And we'll just do this, just to get some worthiness. And we will kill the Amits. Beautiful. Now, obviously, you're not probably going to get that lucky with the artifacts like I did, but yeah. Ooh, we do get a free action. Nice. Not the one I was looking for, but whatever. Yeah, I'd rather just be able to put some ignites on the enemy in the end fight. We're not interrupting that much that this will come into play. Oh, yeah, we already went over belt though, so yeah, we're good. Alright, time to get the permanent buff and see what happens. Do I get lucky and get Psychic? Oh, permanent power's nice. 3 buffs. Okay. Out of all of these, I'd rather take the perma power. Just start off the fight with an extra damage on all our multi-hitting attacks. And, yeah. Let's get it. I would like to upgrade my talisman to epic if I can. Because I have not showcased that either. But that one's RNG, you're not guaranteed. So let's see what the knight gives me here. Trade in. So that is not the same as upgrading. So I like what we have. So I'm just going to take the gold and not take this option. Alright, here's the boss, Hecatonus. This guy is the aging type. He's going to scale by... The longer the fight goes on, the harder the fight is. This is a fight you want to win as quick as possible. So you want to be very aggressive, deal as much damage. So if you pick Cherufe, this should be easy for you. Now, some of y'all are watching this and you didn't pick Cherufe. May the Lord be with you. Alright, we're going to steal an Aether here. Just to try to shut it down. We're going to bubble trick. We broke it. Alright, so we can use one of our artifacts. I think we're going to use the whip just because it deals some damage and also steals an Aether, so it cancels the action it's doing, so it's just basic attacks coming out. And yeah, I'm just going to steal again. You can make the enemies go next to negative, or not negative, but next to 0 on their Aether, so if you could do that, that's one way of bullying the bosses, so definitely take advantage of that if you can. Alright, so since we have Fire Dart, I'm going to just try to do a bunch of damage now with that free action first. And then obviously Fire Fang. Beautiful. We're going to steal, which triggers the burn. Because we're interrupting his action, which is wonderful. You love to see that. Alright, it's doing basic attacks. I'm gonna go for the Jewel Cutter. Let's see if we get lucky. 2 crits, 3 crits. Alright, Lightning Assaults. Is that the finishing blow? No. Wasn't enough to kill it before round 3, but that's fine. This team is really aggressive. And yeah, there's round 3. I'm just gonna use this hourglass to reduce our corruption close to 0, so that way when we take the pot, we're going into the final boss fight with no corruption, so we have the highest chance of winning. But yeah, this is Hecatonus taken down as Cherufe starter because you want to be aggressive. And like I said, man, Orthrus is carrying. Monster. What do we get on this level up? Anything game changing? We already talked about Wind Heist, Stolen Gem, Steals 2, put Sidekick. We already had that on Cherufe, and this one gives me a Fire Water attack that has a 25 crit chance if I crit Purges. No. I'll just take the HP. Alright. So now the final boss. We've made it this far. Could be nerve-wracking. Oh wow, we have no corruption to cleanse from the pot, but... No, principle. Ooh, there we go! An epic talisman. What are the perks on my base one? Ooh, chance to dodge and crit chance. This one gives me cleansing and a damage +1. Taking that for sure. Even though it increases our chance to get a buff by 5, I don't really like the second effects that much. But yeah, I'm actually just going to pass and I'm going to buy XP to try to get Orthrus to level 10. Okay, one away. Hey, nice. So we have a chance here to get a trait. Fortunately, this one needs me to use wind actions, but we're not doing that much. This one is if he interrupts, that he gets a sidekick or 100 healing. I'm just going to take the max HP. And I don't think we have enough XP to get Cherufe if we get lucky to get him to 10, so we're just going to go into the final fight. I try to leave all of this for you guys, so, you know, the first timers have a nice enjoyment of the lore without me spoiling it by you seeing it. Alright, so I'm not sure, does it show up a tutorial if you're a fresh file or not? The enemy's special, their arms can be attacked and have traits. The two arms are immune to damage and can be staggered. Can only be staggered. Staggered and temporarily moves it. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, there's 2 hands on the battlefield. These are really annoying because they are putting corruption on you whenever you use an action. See, if I use an action with my Orthrus, I'm going to get 8 corruption, or depending on the action I use, 15. I normally don't care about how much corruption it's giving, because the goal right now is to break these 2 hands so they don't reoccur, and you put them on cooldown. So I know I said you always want to do Fire Fang and stuff, but for this fight, you just want to actually get rid of that thing ASAP. So that's why I'm just hitting them. Another thing that I'm just hitting them and not caring about playing optimally right now is because this fight, it's impossible to win until he transforms. He's hard HP gated to not die until you see his second form. At least as of making this video. Maybe in the future, they change that and you can kill him before you see second form, but as I'm making this video, you can't even do it, so you may as well just play safe, get rid of the hands so you don't have to see them, and now we could go back to our normal schedule planned of Fire Fanging. And I'm just going to Stealing Dust, get rid of some of his Aether and put it back into my pocket. So that way when he transforms, I believe at the end of this turn he should, we will have a nice advantage to beat him up. Ow, that's actually really good damage. Yeah, I'll just generate Aether. Alright, here it is. When you see him grow to 2 extra arms, that's when you can now go and kill him. So with the corruption that you were generating from using your action, he actually makes clones of your allies. And as you notice, it copies the buffs your allies also had. So if you have a heavy buff Orthrus like I do, just be wary of that. You might actually end up killing yourself. So you want to kill the Orthrus ASAP so you don't have to worry about him sabotaging your run. I'm just going to kill all the enemies so I don't have to worry about them. Just going to steal from the boss, slowly chip away at his Aether, and get rid of this Orthrus. Let's see, does this whip... Oh, nice, the whip cancels an action. So we'll do that. Because the first action puts Doom on us. Or, sorry, Doom. Terror on us. Which, like I covered, the more terror stacks you have, the more damage that first hit will do. And since we stole and whipped some of his Aether away, we're actually able to cancel this action with Grapple. So we don't take as much damage, which is awesome. Fortunately, we didn't get a single crit there. That sucked. As you saw there, that's just a basic attack and it hit for 11, so you could imagine what that would have did if that was an actual action going out. So the hands now on phase 2, they start stealing your actions. Notice how I can't use Fire Fang because he stole it. And the brown hand has my action there, which is really shitty. So I'm resort to using Pounce here. Hopefully one crits. No. Ooh. That stays alive. That's not cute. We're gonna Stealing Dust here. Try to reduce that and break this hand. Get rid of that Doom and Bloom that's about to go out. Wow, actually, I didn't even notice we got the bleed that high. Or not the bleed, the burn. That's pretty impressive, actually. Now we're able to break that hand. And the boss is pretty much dead next turn. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why I suggest taking high hit count attacks, because of the whole poise thing from the boss fight. You want those hands deleted. As you can see, they could steal your actions, and they're building up a bunch of corruption, and then the corruption makes the clone, so the higher the corruption is, the harder the fight is for you. So the quicker you can break them, the less corruption they go out, and you get an easier win. So, hopefully you found this video helpful. Pick yourself a Orthrus instead of Cockatrice if you're picking Cherufe. As you can see, Orthrus is a monster, and you know what, we're just going to dedicate the win to him because he actually got the win, and not Cherufe. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you have any questions that weren't answered during the run or anything you want clarified further, by all means, please comment down below. I'm going to have a full beginner's guide that's going to go over the meta progressions you want to pick after you're done with your run. I'll have that made soon, so consider subscribing for that, as well as the other beginners. I'll be going over a beginner run, over explaining all of that in the coming days. So if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out the last run I did right here. Until the next video, I'll see ya.